My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft.
I was stuck on path 1710625, truck 9186, stalking me. The moment that I unzip my blanket where the fake sun is rising, this is where the entity is engaging in surveillance by the people of the state, the co-conspirator of murder, gang stalking with the police department, gang stalking with the fire department, gang stalking with the airport, maintaining surveillance on the roads and the highways, emptying the garbage can adjacent to me to stalk in the path, and doing so at the same time that I'm moving. That's a stalker that was already there. That's someone that's monitoring with the Demons 9B KF385 who are driving in impossible light activity, not sunlight. This same location where the fake sun sets, that's somebody that is stalking me as a population and conspiring murder when doing so. That is the public removal of Paul Leon. Okay, it is 6:38 a.m. when this is occurring. This is terrorism. This is the entity that's engaging in that while they are maintaining a fake sun over me, speaking to the fact that a population has conspired my murder. Walking in under the fake sun. This is a white male, blue t-shirt, communication device in hand, monitoring with the City of Ontario, maintaining the dumpster truck as a form of light activity. The fake sun is in alignment to me. Engineer light on 537 North Euclid Avenue, the shadow of a tree, where engineer light is projected like a laser, and where the sunrise is not going to be present when I'm showing you the pattern of conduct, and the entity has the fake sun rising over me at what is Ontario Airport, and as I'm capturing video at 7 11:55 a.m. The entity is maintaining the fake sun in the same manner that it was before I went to the Ontario airport, and in that ongoing documented contradiction, inconsistency of the environment where the Nephilim are stalking in furtherance of a fully exposed and documented pattern of conduct committed in furtherance of murder. 9237252. 9237S52, I believe. This is P.O.C, and this is the entity that's engaging in what is stalking me while I sleep, stalking me as a municipality. Okay, doing so on behalf of the demons that are calling itself a police department and a fire department and an airport, etc. The entity is maintaining ongoing surveillance. The Nephilim are stalking me while I'm sleeping outside because they are mentally ill and they're serial killers. They've engaged in what is targeting me as a population, and they have failed in what is now a published conspiracy to commit murder, what the government's been practicing for decades. Okay, and they're still doing it, and they're doing it all over the internet. And Mike LORENZ, an exposed domestic enemy who is leading in what is gang violence, is going to be prosecuted for this pattern of conduct. Okay, they've committed what are the acts of kidnapping while targeting me with the population in the pattern of conduct, engaging in the same P.O.C. Okay, this is P.O.C. as I am waking up. That's a stalker that's hovering over me and doing so in a dumpster truck and using the resources of a municipality to engage in the elements of monitoring. I'm going to go ahead and capture video at the same time because this is capturing the environment where the demon possessed are driving. That's engineer light that's appearing on the curb right here. They're driving in that. That's not sunlight. Okay? You're going to break down the scene. The fake sun is on the opposite side of what is 537 North Euclid Avenue. This is what is engineer light that's manifesting out of nowhere in the shade. This is a demonic environment that is conducive to demons who are stalking. This is stalking when you're crossing path in that environment. This is where the entity is hovering over me as I wake up in the morning, and a demon in a in a dumpster truck is immediately present. That's stalking with activity. That's a demon that's engaging in knee-jerk conduct. While they are engaging in this, just like you saw last night, impossible light activity, it's impossible light activity while they're driving in that. You see the curb? While the engineer light is also on the passenger side of the vehicle. That's not sunlight. Neither is this. This is the entity that has this fake sun also, as I'm documenting in the evening, while this population, not just a weirdo that's arriving as I'm waking up, engaging in monitoring, it's a population of co-conspirators of murder. And it's a pattern of conduct that the police department shares in. That police department is going to be prosecuted for terrorism. This is gang violence. This is gang stalking. This is also demonic. This is speaking to what you see, that light activity? Demons driving in emergency vehicles are going to be removed from. Okay? That's stalking in an ambulance. That's a threat to the public. Okay? AMR is under the fake sun at 12 o'clock in the afternoon at this same location inside a Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Starbucks is right here. This is the entity that is engaged in what is criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. That's why you have the impossible, which is engineer light that's appearing on the sidewalk where you are driving adjacent to the sidewalk, and it's creating light activity at a distance from that sidewalk. Yeah, that's not sunlight. That's the engineer light that's filling the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library where demons are walking in it, monitoring. These demons are driving in it. Look at that light activity. Monitoring. That's the Nephilim. While you're looking at the light that's appearing on the passenger side of their vehicles, and the fake sun is supposed to be rising on the driver's side. And this is that pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. These demons have conspired my murder, and the demons that are in position are going to be removed from position for it. Mandatory. It is, I want to be clear, while you see this fake sun, but yet you're looking at this engineer light that's appearing on this curb. Okay, that's a pattern of conduct. That's engineer light. That's impossible light. Sunlight is not ricocheting and then I guess sweeping across backwards onto the sidewalk for people to drive through what are bands of light, creating light activity on both sides. This is and it's rising on this side, and it's creating light activity on the passenger side of their vehicles, creating bands of light on their vehicles and on the ground. That's called the P.O.C. stalking with light, which is demonic. These are demons that are captured stalking. They're all stalking when this supernatural environment is not coincidentally but systematically remaining around me while they're engaged in what is harassment, like kidnapping upon false allegations. That's the pattern of conduct by the state. All right, it is 6:45 a.m. That will be 7:45 a.m. The entity has the fake sun over me at the Ontario Airport Inn at 1801 East G Street, where I captured that fake sun over me at 1801 East G Street at 12:04 in the afternoon over the top of my head, where I captured that fake sun over me at 1801 East G Street, where I am at 1841 at the Ramada by Wyndham, adjacent to the Ontario Airport Inn, where the entity kept the fake sun. This is the entity stalking with the fake sun. The evidence that the municipality is stalking, the evidence that a population is stalking, in addition to the environment that you can dissect. And this is where you saw the co-conspirator of murder stalking on the side of the road last night, driving an Uber and a Lyft. This was a gang stalker stalking me on behalf of the Ontario Police, who were maintaining surveillance by stalking on the roads and the highways just like them, while the people of the state were maintaining surveillance around me at these venues, and I documented and put it on X. The Ontario Police are being disbanded, and they're going to be federally prosecuted for conspiring my murder, proven by this pattern of conduct committed and executed in concert with the population. This is exposing criminal surveillance. This is P.O.C. All right, it is, like you heard, in real time, while I'm documenting it, the fake sun rises and shines, where you're looking at the same light activity that occurred before that fake sun is shining, and you can see that object, and then you're seeing what is the appearance of what is impossible light activity, equally impossible with regard to not only the placement of this fake sun, the maintenance, the remainder of this fake sun, but also the engineered light that the demon possessed by definition in that environment, and the pattern of conduct by definition in this environment, the impossibility of it, are prosecuted and proven by 7 BTW 821, I believe, license 4905Y. I can't really see that one. This is, it's currently 6:47 a.m. As I spoke to, the entity that's maintaining this environment, where 8K81183 is engaged. That's a license plate. That's a state actor, by the way, not a private citizen. And they're stalking on behalf of what you're going to prosecute and remove from office, the mayor, the fire department, the police department, while they're engaging in a pattern of conduct while that environment is there. They're not acting as an individual. Okay, the entity is engaging in that terrorism while those demons driving that dumpster truck are engaging and abiding by a pattern of conduct. They're all sitting up worshiping me in my sleep, waiting for me to make a subtle movement. This is where they have the drug addicts from Aegis coming over here and gang stalking. They have the demons that are the people of the state gang stalking with Omnitrans while they're doing so where the fake sun rises, doing so where they're driving an engineer light, 8WUV772. This is exactly what I documented last night, so let me remind you about this co-conspirator of murder sharing in the same exact behavior, which is the pattern of conduct committed on behalf of the gang leaders, Mike LORENZ. Okay, it is including the license plate that's engaged in surveillance, loitering in relevant position on behalf of the state. That is license plate 9 Henry Kelly Charlie 206. These demons that are gang stalking at the Wells Fargo while the airport's flying over that bank. The entity that's gang stalking, you see that impossible light activity at nightfall. That doesn't even have anything to do with their headlights, as the demons think that they can deceive you with manifesting impossible light while they're stalking, and they're monitoring you. And they're also going to be prosecuted for sexually violating you. They're doing so with regard to stalking on behalf of the government. Okay, that's what this third-party license 9HKC206 is doing at this same environment, at the same location last night, stalking in the path, maintaining surveillance, doing so with, I'm going to prosecute Uber and Lyft because those are identified third parties on that vehicle, and they are a means of facilitating the people of the state engaged in stalking you, and their guys are doing so, I'm not stalking, I'm driving for Uber and Lyft, and Uber and Lyft are third parties as well. By the way, headquartered in California, engaged in surveillance, but nonetheless, you're going to prosecute all the means whereby an entity is engaging in stalking you, conspicuously threatening your life and safety, monitoring you in furtherance of murder, and then doing so under the guise of things such as Uber and Lyft. Okay, which is not a guise, that's Uber and Lyft sharing in what is gang stalking you, which is the conspiracy to murder with the government. All right, this is P.O.C. That's video that you heard me capture. 44666C4, stalking, driving it in that impossible light, which is a federal offense. It's the same thing as stalking in the path like I captured on video, and doing so with the government, maintaining surveillance for that state, maintaining stalking conduct on behalf of that state, while that state's going to conspire your murder in that manner in your face. No, the government shall not. That's what they're doing when they're doing it in that environment. That's exactly what you're going to prosecute. It is terrorism, and the government's going to be prosecuted, and the people of the state are going to be prosecuted. This is P.O.C. It is, like I stated, 6:50 a.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue. So daylight savings time or not, the fake sun that's over me at 10:59 a.m., that's during daylight savings time, is not an explanation. The sun is, whether you give or take away an hour, not going to be over the same address, over the same person, both. Not going to be over the same person, not going to be over the same address, over the top of your head. That's non-movement of the sun. As you're proving, a population is stalking you. Doing so by surrounding you with that environment that is supernatural. And also at the end of the day, after 6 p.m., the sun is not going to be in alignment to you. That is over 537 North Euclid Avenue while I'm looking at a sunset. Daylight savings time or not is no explanation for what is non-movement of the sun. It never progressed beyond this street as you're still looking at it. Okay? Never is sunlight flying off of the side of your vehicle while you're driving under what you would like to claim is the sun. 7H36842 is engaging in the conspiracy to commit murder, engaging in federal stalking on the roads and the highways, doing so with the government that's simultaneously being prosecuted. And the government is engaging in what is conspicuously threatening you and targeting you. This is the backfire of an entity whose pattern of conduct has been corrupt, meaning they stalk and trigger you. They do so maliciously. And then a gang stalking medical profession is kidnapping you and then defaming your character by claiming you're mentally ill while they are conspicuously stalking you. The government, the gang stalking medical professionals who are sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct, having no jurisdiction, are disregarding the fact that you're being conspicuously targeted and harassed and stalking and targeted, but the entity is disregarding that and analyzing the behavior of an American citizen who is being targeted. That is not the practice of medicine, nor is that logical. Okay, the backfire of that is you're going to be prosecuted with the malicious iteration of the pattern of conduct, driving under a fake sun, stalking under a fake sun, molesting with engineer light in that environment, doing so on behalf of the state. You're going to be prosecuted for that, and it's committed in furtherance of murder because a population and a police department is not repeatedly kidnapping. They're not defaming your character. They're not engaging in criminal activity and seeking to frame you for it. They're not engaging in what is attempted murders, and they're not engaging in what is making malicious assertions against you because they intend for you to walk away scot-free with your life and with your freedom. They're doing so reasonably in furtherance of murder, just like a robbery is committed in reasonable furtherance of what is the loss of life. That's reasonably anticipated that a life will be lost. That's why any loss of life is prosecuted as felony murder, regardless of whether there is evidence of premeditated murder, because it's reasonably anticipated that a loss of life will occur based on the inherently violent crime of a robbery. It's inherently violent and inherently dangerous to the life of an American citizen to stalk them with gang violence, gang stalk them, which the specific environment proves, the targeting conduct by the government proves, the ongoing environment proves. That's the demons of the same city of Ontario and another dumpster truck stalking me by being in the path in that specific environment. That's the prosecution of the city, while I've been documenting that for a term of years. And they will never reconcile that with what's already on the record of what's happening in Los Angeles. Same time of year, daylight savings time, the duration of time analysis, and what is also that which is a coincidence. No, it's a pattern of the city of Los Angeles harassing and targeting me at work and in my home, and the city of Ontario targeting me in the way I've shown through Ontario Police, Ontario Fire, and Ontario Police Department, and the people of the state who think that their facial expression compared with their malicious assertions against me is going to combine with them walking away. They've already been prosecuted. You're already looking at their prosecution on the internet. It's going farther. They're being deported. They're going to prison, and they're going to be prosecuted as terrorists in the U.S. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6:54 a.m. This is P.O.C. License plate. This is conspicuous stalking on the roads and the highways. 4LPX758, 9DKE474. That's a female. P.O.C. This is P.O.C. and this is what this is impossible light activity that's appearing on the passenger side. Okay, and the shadows of their cars are reaching across the street. They're touching me while I'm on the sidewalk. That's a means of light activity, while they are stalking seamlessly, systematically on the roads and the highways with the government's evidence against them. Evidence regarding what is necessary, federal prison where the government's conspired your murder through a population, targeting you in an irreconcilable environment. That's audible activity. Starbucks is inside monitoring. They're driving in this This is light that's out of what? When the sun's on the passenger side, the fake sun is on the driver's side of your vehicle. That's what they're all driving in. And that's to commit what is a sex offense. This is an unlawful touching that they're all going to be prosecuted for. And it's impossible light. P.O.C. Possible light. That's not sunlight. That's for the gang stalking purposes of establishments that are going to be prosecuted, like Starbucks, that committed kidnapping. And it's gang stalking with the demons that come and wash their windows, gang stalking with the demons that come and buy coffee, gang stalking with the demons that are working at the venue. That's why the fake sun is still here after 7 p.m. through the drive-through window, and those demons have this engineer light on the drive-through wall on the inside of that cafe. Okay, this is P.O.C. I will prosecute through the whole population. This is the exposure, the proof of a conspiracy of a government to murder you. And you're going to prison as a terrorist leader. Committing kidnapping as a police department while you're engaged in this pattern of conduct. They're all driving in that same impossible light activity. Not only is this not the sun, that's why it's still here at Starbucks after 7 p.m. It's not sunlight. That's why it's reflecting into the street, manifesting on the buildings, showing my shadow. They're all driving in that because they're in the same pattern of conduct. Surveillance is underway on your devices. Your body is being monitored while you're being stalked by a population of demons who know that they're driving in an absurd, ridiculous environment that science itself is going to aid in prosecuting them. This is terrorism. This is P.O.C. Open it. Remember the terrorism that they engaged in. Openly, the mentally ill working at Starbucks, engineer light fleeing across, this light right here, fleeing across, slapping me with engineer light while I'm inside, slapping me with engineer light while you're opening the door. They love showing you that. It's going to be played in court to prosecute them, to have them committed for mental illness. It's committed in furtherance of murder. While the airports, mentally ill, psychopathic pacing, this is in the playlist, which you need to look at. Mental illness exhibited by those stalking in planes and helicopters. This is, again, 2 minutes and 28 seconds. This is psychopathic pacing in planes and engineer light and under a fake sun, aiding in what is stalking underway. This is monitoring. These are demons. This is the Nephilim, and the demon-possessed are going to be diagnosed regarding their sick behavior. That's no destination. You're stalking in the path, and there are no airports from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 hovering here. Moreover, they're just engaging in a U-turn. This is psychopathic pacing, stalking me, and I am the... That's why the fake sun's over me at this same Chevron at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like I documented last Sunday. That's why the fake sun is over me in the evening, like I'm documenting when I walk out of this same Chevron at 6 p.m. in that airport that is stalking by proving through the environment and through the psychopathic pacing and making U-turns in the sky space in relevant position. They're going to be prosecuted for that. That's the shutdown of the airport. That's the disbanding of the police department. That's the removal of that fire department. Okay, that's the prosecution of a population of stalkers. Your purchase of your coffee, by the way, you've sealed your fate. This is P.O.C. All right, while you're looking at the city of Ontario, the Ontario International Airport that is gang stalking and providing what is just ongoing, just a wealth of resources, just giving an overflow, a fountain of evidence against itself, which is against the police department, which is against the people of the state, which is against the state of California while they engage in that, meaning they just engage in U-turn after U-turn every 25, 30 seconds in a video that's about 3 to 4 minutes long. The entity is engaging in what is evidence against its co-defendant. And they are engaging in what is mentally ill behavior, the psychopathic pacing. As you're understanding the significance of the engineer light and what the demon-possessed are doing, they are pacing in engineer light. Okay, they want to appear as normal people that are walking like you and I. 9BQB 048 is pacing, and they are pacing necessarily as a group. They engage in group conduct while they don't want to appear as one that is weird, in other words, by where you would observe it, where they're going back and forth and back and forth. And they typically like to associate that with what you are traditionally recognizing as so-called mentally ill. That is, this demonic entity refers to a classified status as being mentally ill. Those with Down syndrome or those that have, no, they're mentally ill. Anthesis, those are psychopaths that are driving those that are physically incapacitated to come gang stalk, and they're all mentally ill. 9MJM208, they're demons who are pacing. They're demons that are in the medical field who are unfit, and they are demons that are engaging in what is the creation of an illusion. Okay, the illusion regarding sanity versus those that are not well, or insanity, if you want to put it in those terms. They're all mentally ill, and the entity provides that wealth of evidence of targeting by the airport, both by the pacing, the U-turns over the venue. I'm documenting that pattern everywhere. You're both by the juxtaposition of where the entity is keeping the fake sun at other times, just like I've been documenting, and the entity that's targeting by that airport. That's also proven because the airport takeoffs where you're not targeting and you're engaged in a destination to an actual place from the terminals in conformity to what's published online, and in conformity to the legitimate operations of an airport, in an environment that's not showing that you're targeting because the fake sun's over me at the same address, for example, which I have at Starbucks, which I have at Chevron, which I have at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun is documented. The entity is engaged in what is proving that in addition to the demons that are stalking at Starbucks, while that light is appearing on the sidewalk moving in front of me, and a demon is engaged in what is one after another U-turns in the sky space, these are demons that are unraveling. They're mental illness that they try to compose, which isn't very persuasive because they're gang stalking. I'm already showing that you're crazy by gang stalking. But what you're witnessing when I document, when I speak to, for example, let me tell you what triggered the demons, speaking to the real-time act of terrorism that you witnessed by the gang stalker UPS, that was murder, mass murder committed by UPS in Kentucky. UPS is gang stalking in California. UPS is doing it under a fake sun. Kentucky was the latest victim of what is the routine means of terrorism by the Nephilim. 25022 Larry 3 is sharing in that statewide pattern of conduct, conspiring my murder openly where the airport is targeting me at this intersection. The fake sun is proof that they're targeting me. 7NYF 576 is sharing in that, and so is ARCO and Chevron. Businesses are going to be prosecuted with regard to the federal RICO case, where they're making money, like Starbucks, very heavily documented, and those imbeciles engaged in kidnapping. You're going to prison with the kidnappers that are the Ontario police who conspire murder like UPS gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport. Not only are you looking at the fact that they're triggered, as I mentioned that, the demons engage in more evidence of targeting. That is, first of all, you're looking at the timestamps. This is going to be played in court. What the entity is doing, and it's documented in real time on an ongoing basis. What's happening on the airport grounds, the scheduled departures and arrivals, what's incorporated in a takeoff from the airport. None of this is being missed. I'm not just calling out stuff because no, it's going to be included. They're engaging in what is stalking. They're doing so, and that's already proven. So is the people of the state. They're showing that they're acting in concert with real-time knowledge, and they're triggered psychopaths who engage in more pacing. That's what you're looking at. The more that I speak the truth about what they are. These are psychopathic people who engage in, like you saw that African-American female with the vehicle wanting to run me over, that sort of rage. That's the rage, and more so because they use helicopters. They do it bearing weapons. They do it in commercial planes. They're triggered while they're engaging in violence, and they engage in more violence while I'm speaking the truth about what they are and what they're doing. The truth of that act of terrorism that you saw, not an accident. It was an act of suicide. These demons are suicidal while they're engaging in killing other people. The gang stalking by UPS in Ontario, California is a direct testament to it. It's evidence to you. It's not an accident. It was not an accident. Those people were murdered. The entities engaging in that, and that's relevant. Hardick is gang stalking at Chevron at 7XIY347 as a license plate under a fake sun. He's inside of Chevron just like he is last night, just like he was, just like he is every night, and just like he is on, because last night I came over toward Chevron. But again, these demons are monitoring everywhere. I just am documenting what's in relevant position because you're one person who's being targeted by a population. But I'm documenting the night before and every other night when I'm at Chevron, and the people of the state, typically German and Hardick, who are in relevant position. You don't have to see their face. They're monitoring with communication devices. They're monitoring with the demons that are stalking. Remember, they want you to see that engineer light on one night, and then they're hitting the gas because they're listening to my analysis and they don't want to be seeing their license plate. It's too late, Satan. You're being prosecuted as co-conspirators of murder, all of you. And that demon, Mike Lorenz, is going to prison for it as well. You're going to prison while you engage in criminal summoning, while you engage in monitoring, while a kidnapping is underway, while you engage in systematically gang stalking. All of this is an impermissible threat with regard to government that needs them there to engage in stalking you while it's the conspiracy to murder you. 9HTE644 is gang stalking with the likely immigrant Hardick with license 7XIY347 under the fake sun that's still here. Just want to be clear, at what is 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like I documented last Sunday, upon my checking out of the Ontario Airport Inn, where none of this sun is going to be present, none of this light activity, nor in the natural environment, even if I didn't go to the Ontario Airport Inn, in other words, and 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun would be in alignment to me over my head at the same Chevron, across the street while I'm at Starbucks, reflecting off of the door while that demon's opening up a side door under a covering. So through the windows, through the walls, that light activity is occurring. Oh yeah, that's relevant. Don't forget what he's surrounded by. The engineer light that you see moving across that hood under that sheltered area, that sheltered patio of Starbucks. That's a demon that's already surrounded with evidence. That's keeping on, oh, this is a demon that's like, okay, I'm just gonna keep on washing the windows because this is that's the Nephilim. Okay, creating what is a false and implausible and unintelligent illusion regarding not being engaged in the conspiracy to murder. That's why the environment is here. You know what they're all doing. They're all present in the environment, present in different capacities, including the Ontario International Airport, who on video are triggered and they're showing their mental illness. That's what is supposed to be removed. That needs to be shut down as an airport. It's a threat to national security, and the plane crash in Kentucky is a direct testament to it. The Ontario Police Department needs to be disbanded. The murder of that young man on the skateboard by LAPD is a testament to it. My evidence of being kidnapped as one that has never committed a crime, has never provided anything where that police department has any, and they're not a police department, they're engaged in surveillance. But these demons engaging in surveillance, masquerading as a police department that need reasonable suspicion, and it's not created by the demon possessed stating that you did something that you didn't do. That's not reasonable suspicion. That's surveillance and targeting. And harassment, and it's a threat to your life and safety where they're gang stalking you. They're being disbanded for that. That's a threat, and the murder of committed by LAPD, that's being discussed already as an accident, that's a testament to it. Ontario, ooh, that's not incorrect that LAPD is going to be disbanded. That's not necessarily incorrect at all. But the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. Mike LORENZ, he's going to federal prison. I'm going to let you know what the conclusion of this is going to be. He's going to be prosecuted as I'm documenting the city of Ontario stalking me. This is in conformity to the city of Ontario, which includes that agency that's stalking on the roads and the highways, stalking and targeting me systematically as an agency, using their helicopters as terrorizing as it gets. Like, this is Baghdad. But what you need to understand is that we're not different from Baghdad. They just want you to feel like we're different from Baghdad. And the reality is that we're not. That's why American citizens are being hit at high speeds in the middle of the street with vehicles by those that call themselves impervious to being at fault for it because they're police officers. All right, that's murder that is covered by the same entity that's targeting, engaging in surveillance and not telling you about it. Oh, but they're telling you about it while they're engaging in what is mentally ill behavior in commercial planes. The entity is going to be shut down based on this mental illness that the whole world is witnessing. They're a threat to national security. While that instability is driving planes like UPS that crash into people and buildings and kill them. EC77S32, that mental illness is what causes and inspires murder, mass murder, which UPS is already engaged in Kentucky. This is the Nephilim. They've been here. I'm exposing the real-time acts of terrorism that they've been inflicting, and you're looking at it every day. Amongst what is a system of surveillance that they're also not telling you is underway. It's not an accident. They're not coincidentally happening. These are demons that commit murder on an ongoing basis, and these demons try to murder me, which is to try to silence me because they know who I am and they tried to stop me from letting you know about all this. Not only is that not going to happen, they're going to prison because they tried to obstruct justice. On top of the fact of conspiring my murder in the first place, and that's exactly what you're going to be prosecuted for. Terrorism, the conspiracy to murder an American citizen as a corrupt entity where public corruption is underway, when that's reasonably the case when you're targeting as a government, targeting as a population. EC77S32 and 9HTE644, gang stalking while the fake sun is in alignment to me. No longer over the church, by the way. All right, remember where the fake sun is at that bus stop? It's not over there anymore, where the entity is also targeting with the entity that is right. This is, again, like they're rising here. What are they doing on Hope Boulevard? What are they doing over 1630 where they're acting like they're taking off on Hope Boulevard, which is not next to me, neither is the sun, while it is what is southeast off of Hope Boulevard. 7:46 a.m. is where I'm capturing that. And where that fake sun is at, that's where the entity is taking off. That's not what's happening right now. 9PIR579 is sharing in that stalking. That's underway as an entity. Okay? The entity has the fake sun here, which is where they're taking off. So what is the takeoff from the same airport? Same airport? Same two terminals. But you have the planes engaging in very different conduct at very different locations. This ongoing deviation, it's like the inconsistent conduct behavior documented of the sun. The sun that stays on the same block, stays in alignment to the same person. That means what I documented yesterday. When I walk out of the OVITT Family Community Library, which is on the opposite side of this parking lot where this airport is stalking and exhibiting to you the world and the federal government, who is mandated, you're sitting up and watching, and you need to be acting, because this airport is a threat to national security. People's lives, meaning, in other words, are under threat right now while you're permitting them to continue operations. Just like what you see in Kentucky, crashing right into that property, murdering people. You are aiding in that ongoing real-time threat. While you are making up the Nephilim as well, you're sitting back and watching, you're going to be prosecuted, you're going to be identified as well. But you're also going to be forced to do your job. You're going to do it. You're going to do it because you've been exposed. You're not going to get away with murdering me. Everyone knows what you're doing, and everyone knows how you do it. Praise Jesus. But you are posing an unlawful threat in real time to the world while you're sitting back watching me document and expose you. Because that's what the city of Ontario is doing. It's exposing you. This is P.O.C. Chevron, 506 North Euclid Avenue, 434 North Euclid Avenue, ARCO, the UNICARE Community Center, 437 North Euclid Avenue. Those are demons that dress up in scrubs. That's the Nephilim. Unfit to be in the medical profession, engaging in what is this conspiracy to murder while they want to be nurses that are supposed to be compassionate and doing no harm. They're gang stalking psychopaths. And that's exactly how Satan disguises himself, by the way. Gang stalker that you already know, Starbucks, very heavily documented at 507 North Euclid Avenue over a term of years, not just 2025. Not just 2025. This is P.O.C. It's 7:31 a.m. Alrighty, it is 7:40 a.m., so you are not forgetful, you are mindful, you are cognizant. All right, you are focused on what are the totality of facts and not existing in some vacuum like the unintelligent minions who are stalking as a population under a fake sun want you to be. While they can't even engage in what is the basic skill of spelling constitution, something that governs their behavior, both the people of the state and the population. 7:45 a.m., the entity has a fake sun, remember, at Las Palmas Medicus. Las Palmas Medical. License 8, Nancy Victor Frank 336 is stalking. You can hear that plane activity. That's what they were doing, concentrating. Remember, fake sun's over the same place it's been when Birdnick is gang stalking at the F Street in Palm. Where 7:45 a.m. you're looking at that fake sun that's progressing as I progress through the neighborhood and hunkered down, low, hovering over me in that neighborhood where the entity is also maintaining what is criminal summoning. And doing so at the John Rossi OD optometrist office. That's the intersection where I'm at, and it's misrepresenting that address on Google Maps. Don't be deceived. Okay, the entities there, and again, that's not stopping an ongoing case. It's not stopping public exposure, and it's not going to stop the federal government that knows the actual location. Changing it on Google Maps. These are the demons that are, again, very superficial. Very superficial, and also that's unfortunate with regard to a federal prosecution where it's actually happening and you're actually going into cages and you're focused on some superficial, irrelevant factor that nobody even cares about, that you want to be seen as not a gang stalker. That's what the focus is, and that's not what you're looking like. You're looking like a psycho, and you're looking like a stalker, just like I said. And it does matter what it looks like. That's why I'm prosecuting on the internet, and I'm also going to prosecute in court. 7HWX195 is gang stalking under this fake sun. That is not over F Street and Palm, like I documented, where Birdnick is admittedly engaging in criminal summoning in concert. That's the criminal conspiracy to threaten and harass you. It's a threat to your life while the police are gang stalking you in that environment, and which is, again, the directly rebutting evidence. In addition to the stalking conduct at that intersection by the Ontario International Airport, who are not maintaining any flights, where the fake sun is over here at this ARCO, the entity is maintaining this fake sun while I am at what is 1630, and engineer light is on the ground, manifesting in the shade, just like what you see at the walkway where demons are monitoring stalking with Hardick, who goes by Harry, inside of the Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue. That demon that leaves the tractor, you'll see all these images. You'll see the image, he leaves the tractor with the lights on. That's West Coast Arborist. While the entity, that's the analogous to a license plate. Who is it? It's used by CAT. Whose name and license on it? West Coast Arborists, well-documented gang stalkers. They were targeting me with Mercy House. Documentation of the fake son and conspiring my murder in 2020 and 2021. And they're doing so under a fake son. That's not going to be over ARCO. Okay, documenting same time, daylight savings time, outside of daylight savings time, doing so while the entity is stalking with planes. Don't forget what Burtnick is doing while the Ontario International Airport is proving what Burtnick was doing 48 hours ago. Don't forget that, because they're the ones that forget that. 9NLN787. When you're stalking me, I'm the leader. Okay, so and when you're stalking with the fake son, because I'm the leader, it's not the natural environment, and that's how I'm able to prove that. That's how you're able to witness that, and you also know that they are appropriately referred to. This is the Nephilim, the ones whom the Lord God has said are going to be subject to judgment, and he said this generations ago, and you're witnessing their exposure, and the world is going to know why their destruction is happening. The world is going to know why. This is them. This is the Nephilim. Disobeying God through having a whole, not only is it sinful, he's the one that created the sun and the moon, referred to as luminaries in scripture. He created that. They are obedient to him. They created a whole fake sun. These demons are under a fake sun. Not only is it ungodly, it's demonic. It's absurd and ridiculous. They look crazy and ignorant. These are demons, and I'm going to prosecute them with their own ignorance. I'm going to prosecute them with their own stupidity. Okay, license 53TO583, gang stalking. Okay, and you're going to see the engineer light. Don't forget about what Burtnick is doing. Burtnick's going to prison. Burtnick is going to federal prison. All right, this is P.O.C. at what is ARCO, 434 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity was engaging in this before, and then that full Burtnick came into my presence for me to document the evidence why domestic terrorists that are cloaking themselves as police officers are going to federal prison. That's exactly why they're going to prison. That lie that he uttered, the lie regarding he didn't know, because that's what you're communicating. Oh, that you don't know what's going on, that you don't know who I am, that you're not stalking. I already have evidence directly rebutting all of that. All I'm doing is putting the camera on these demons and letting you see Satan, because you need to become familiar and not be ignorant. This is the P.O.C., the pattern of conduct. The pattern of conduct is underway by the demon possessed. If you have not gathered this by now, this is not just about a prosecution, although an epic one it shall be, in a federal tribunal. This is a running ad, not for money. I don't need any money from you. I don't need any applause from you. This is about Christ Jesus. He's coming back. He's coming back on time, and he's coming back in judgment. This is a warning. This is a warning. He's coming back, and he's coming back in wrath. These are demons that thought that they were going to just disregard God and overrule God and change his will, recreate are you kidding me? I'm prosecuting them, and fifth graders know that these are demons and they're in a fake environment. That's not the sun. Never, no day, no way at all. And not only that, they're engaged in a whole corrupt system of targeting in that environment. And not only that, while I documented it, these demons are so foolish and demented because the Nephilim fill their bodies. They're not well. Because they're not well, they're not smart. Because they're not well and they're not smart, they engage in more instead of less. That makes for a well-prepared case in federal court, because Satan's being prosecuted in court. Okay? It is, like I stated, 7:46 a.m. I'm going to take a picture of the fake sun. Because this is not over 1630 East Hope Boulevard, where Sin Pico is a gang stalking business, proven by engineer light that's on the grounds of that parking lot, in the shade, where the city of Ontario is stalking, maintaining plane activity over me in that video at the moment that I start recording, just like the demons driving a dumpster truck. The moment that I move, the moment that I become conscious and I move and I unzip my blanket, there's a demon engaging what is stalking with activity conduct, monitoring me in furtherance of murdering me. Doing so while they are aware of the fact that it's being documented, okay? They're doing so, that awareness, in other words, is relevant to how much of a threat Mike LORENZ poses to my life. That's why I document that. Oh, you're doing it while you know that that's relevant, because Mike LORENZ is going to prison. So are the kidnappers of Starbucks. They're going to prison. 7HJY309 and U-Haul is gang stalking. Maintaining light activity on, I'm taking pictures of myself. Maintaining light activity on the sidewalk while they're driving what is a U-Haul truck while a demon. This is the Nephilim. There is no form where you're driving a vehicle that's going to be the excuse for impossible light, for stalking in the path, where they wear construction hats and do the same thing. It's the P.O.C. These are the Nephilim they're nothing other than tricky. These are tricky spirits, but they're not intelligent. And they've been intellectually outmaneuvered by one person. That's why they're so full of rage and trying to hit me with their car. Okay? That's why, and guess who's going to prison for that? I have a group of names that are going to prison for that, including that demon that committed it on behalf of an entity. A group of people that are going to prison for it. All right, it is currently, while I delete this accidental picture I took of myself. The entity is engaging in what is a pattern of conduct. U-Haul is gang stalking while driving, what is this, large truck, the hazard lights on. And remember, the appearance of the thing is supposed to be the explanation for why while they're engaging in the elements of monitoring as in the way that I've told you that. Oh, they're stalking in the path with light activity. So the entity that's being exposed engages in those same elements of monitoring while providing what is a picture, meaning what you're looking at, meaning they're relying on a superficial analysis of things. They want you to assign the reason why they're doing it is because, it's because it's a large truck and they need their hazard lights on and they're driving slow, and that's why they're providing what for you is an explanation regarding what is their pattern of conduct. And I want to be clear, there is no excuse for a pattern of conduct. There's no excuse for it. It's a pattern of conduct. These are demons that are watching their exposure. And it's not going to be just a prosecution in court. This is judgment by God. Okay? I'm just the messenger. I'm just the messenger. And this is an entity that is facing what are consequences that nobody can save them from. But nonetheless, the entity engaged in trying to conspire my murder, trying to target me. If you didn't understand that you were going to be judged by God before, targeting somebody that's just speaking on behalf of the Lord, I don't know anything. I was just born, okay? I don't know anything about what you were doing generations before as a bunch of demons, and you think that you're going to take my life and try to stop what God's plan is. This is a bigger picture regarding what is spiritual warfare, okay? Now, me having a legal skill set, I'm bringing from the spiritual realm what these demons are doing or what they think that they can do to someone and defame their character when they don't have the evidence and or even a full know-how or knowledge, especially spiritual intelligence, if you will. And I don't want to put it in academic means, because this is about knowing Christ. This is about the Holy Spirit that gives you the ability to discern. This is about combining. This is an anointing given from God, somebody that is called to give that message, who will know how to communicate that message because he's called them to do that, who will know how to explain to those that are ignorant, that don't know what's going on, that need to know the message, that need to know that you need to give your life to Christ today, right now, because he's coming back, because they're out here trying to murder you before you have an opportunity to accept Christ as your Lord and Savior, to repent for your sins, because he's coming back in judgment. They want to murder you. They want to target you. They want to take you out before you can do that. And I want to be clear, even that's not an excuse. It's out here. Satan is real. He's out here murdering people through a corrupt government system, but it's not an excuse before God, because he has made his son available, and tomorrow he's already stated is not promised to any of us. This is an urgency, but the fact that you are targeted is speaking to what is the necessity for all of us to accept Christ as our Lord and Savior, because he's coming back. He's coming back, and evil is real. People are not inherently good. This world, the demons are lying to you. You're not inherently good. No, you're not. You're born a sinner. You're born into sin. This is why the Lord God, if it wasn't necessary for him to sacrifice his son, he wouldn't have done that. He didn't do that for funsies, because he just wants to see his son suffer. That's what demons do. They derive pleasure from suffering that's not necessary. That's not even lawful. This is necessary with regard to a provision for what is avoiding damnation, where the Nephilim are going. They're going straight to hell. I mean, they're going straight to hell. And Satan knows it. Satan knows it. But before, they're going to be prosecuted here on earth. They're going to be judged and exposed. They're going to be humiliated here on earth. This is what they've been doing to people through the government. This is state action for years. They're humiliating themselves when they're stalking me, clearly, in commercial planes. They're humiliating themselves. They're so deceived. They are so mentally sick that they don't recognize that they're doing their own detriment. They still don't appreciate and understand how I have fully surrounded them, and they're doing nothing other than exposing that they're serving my purposes now. The trap is set. I set back. I get it on camera. They're serving my purposes. Okay? You're watching the entity, the Nephilim, that are engaging in this pattern of conduct. These are demons that commit murder as a society. And they are psychotic. And they operate under business names like Cinepec at 1630 East Holt Boulevard. The entity has the fake sun over that property. Pray tell, what is the Ontario International Airport? Who was stalking, but what are they stalking me next to? Because that's not the sun. It's also not going to be from 1630 over me at Las Palmas Medica, where they're also flying over me at that intersection in relevant position. The plane activity you can hear, the hovering plane you can see, meaning miles away from East Holt, where you're supposedly even closer to the airport, where you would like to feign a takeoff. So why are you still acting like you're taking off miles away over the ARCO parking lot? Why are you acting like you're taking off miles away over the Las Palmas Medical Center? Why? Because you're unintelligent. That's why. Because that's how your whole system operates, and you didn't have any plans for it to be scrutinized and exposed. You don't know how to do anything other than be a demon. These are demonic spirits that are trying to contend with me. You can't contend with me, Satan. All right, this is the P.O.C, however, and this is, I want to be clear, glory to God. This is not me stating that I do not have any power in and of myself. This is the ability that Christ Jesus has given to me, and you need to accept the Lord as your Lord and Savior today. If you have not repented for your sins, you are witnessing your need to do so. You don't have any protection against the strong man as Scripture describes him. Okay, the stronger man, that's Christ Jesus. The stronger man is the one that overpowers the strong man. That's a parable that I'm referring to, paraphrasing it. This is speaking to, you don't have any power against the devil, who is a spirit who uses people. That's what this Nephilim are. They are all demon-possessed. And their behavior, which is criminal and corrupt, is the evidence to you about it. While I prove through a court case, meaning, in other words, the Lord God demonstrating his power and his presence and his knowledge through what is a vessel, that is myself, a human being, using what is intellectual knowledge in order to prove the spiritual with tangible evidence and submit it in court. That's, in other words, a testimony. That's a witness. That's what I am. So if you want me to break that down for you, that's what that is. Putting it in terms that are palatable to you. Okay? But this is inevitable. That's not the sun that will be over 1630 East Holt Boulevard, where they're stalking by planes. Okay? All that circus of conduct that they're engaged in, making U-turns, having dipping and dodging and making U-turns, it's going in court under a fake sun. That's not going to remain over the United States Postal Service at 1555 East Holt Boulevard after 3 p.m. Don't forget daylight savings time is just an hour. It's not over the town square and over the John S. Rossi OD Optometrist Center and while the entity is flying with these commercial planes. And then you have Burtnick, a gang stalker that's conspiring your murder, that wants to stalk and threaten you in a way, but they have to do it subtly by stating, yeah, I'm here because I got a call. Yeah, I got a call. I got a call that you tried to break into a building. That's what I was told. Yeah, it's right here in my communication device. We got a call about that. So that's a demon that's stalking you. A demon that's stalking in a way in which it's supposed to be facilitated through that uniform and through that vehicle. It's shown to be that which is in conformity to a pattern of conduct, while those uniforms and that vehicle and also their helicopters are shown to be targeting me all the time, meaning with regard to that pattern of conduct, you know exactly who I am and what I'm doing, and the whole environment whereby you're in my presence with this very much of a foolish iteration of what's supposed to be a lie. That's Satan. That's not too bright. And this is the pattern of conduct where you're looking at mendacity, okay? And a liar, okay? And a bad one. In court, guess what that is? Criminal summoning is the conspiracy of that entity. They're acting together. The people of the state are the ones that are engaged in criminal summoning, and the state itself. They're both engaged in targeting, and they are acting together with regard to targeting an individual. In furtherance of murder and kidnapping, because Mike LORENZ at that agency, they're the ones that commit kidnapping upon the call of license 6RXH115. All right? While they're targeting you together, and the specific environment helps you put that together, helps you connect that. You're going to prison for that. They're doing the same thing when they're doing it through a traffic stop. And what do you see during a traffic stop? The same helicopter activity? The same impossible light activity. That's suspicious. That impossible light activity is directly relevant to what you want to be mistaken for being, law enforcement. And you're not, Satan. Everybody sees you. I made sure that everybody sees you. This is my job, to make sure you see Satan very clearly. It is currently 7:57 a.m. This is P.O.C. So this is what the entity's engaging in. They're going and filling up their gas tanks. You know the context. They're doing it under the fake sun that's still over the same address. If they were not gang stalking, then the sun wouldn't be over me at this same Chevron at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And at 6 o'clock in the evening. These are demons that think that they have the cover of disguise and they don't have anything. They're walking around, excuse my French, but they're walking around butt naked, fully exposed. And it's totally inappropriate. The judge is going to be looking at them like they're crazy, because they are. Because they're walking around, basically, proverbially, they are butt naked. And a judge is going to be, why don't you have any clothes on? Because they're perverts, because they're stalkers, because they're demons. That's why they're caught butt naked, with no cover, no cloak, no deception, no alibi, no controlling narrative. You don't have anything. I've stripped them of all of the illusions so that you could see them for what they are. They're murderers. A population of them, and guess what? The chief of them is going to be prosecuted as a terrorist. And terrorists that are prosecuted, they go to prison. So I'm letting you know what's going to be the outcome of a prosecution of a domestic terrorist like Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams. P.O.C. It is currently, like I stated, 7:58 a.m. on Saturday, November 8, 2025, where the fake sun is over me, and it's not over 1630 East Hope Boulevard to be over the United States Postal Service, the 1555 East Hope Boulevard. You already knew that, though, because you're not looking at anything in a vacuum. This is not day by day with regard to, this is the evidence for today, forget about tomorrow, forget about yesteryear, forget about the year before that. No, this is an ongoing documentation of a ceaseless pattern of conduct, and you are able to see the whole picture in the aggregate. They are never getting out of this prosecution. The evidence is too high and probative. It would not be disregarded by anybody, including scientists. It is, again, like I stated, 7:58 a.m. This is P.O.C. 7:59 a.m. now.
Alrighty, this is documentation regarding the illusion. These illusions are demonic, and this environment, this is the infamous OVITT Family Community Library, where the sun is not going to be in the natural environment. It's still here over me at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's still here over me while the demons that work at this venue are stalking me conspicuously. They're going to regret that in court. While they are walking into the entrance at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I showed you yesterday at this same entrance at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Both instances, the Ontario International Airport is stalking. Okay, while I'm walking out in the evening where this entity is keeping this fake sun, they are stalking, engaging in ambush conduct, keeping me under surveillance is what you're deducing from that. This is surveillance over here. Mission. This is what the demon's doing at Starbucks last night. The Uber and the Lyft, the gang stalker with that label on it. It's a means of identification. You're going to prosecute companies. You're going to prosecute the people of the state. The companies are the people of the state. The people of the state that make money upon criminal surveillance. And at 215 EC Street, the sun is not going to be at any address. 215 EC Street is the means whereby you're understanding and witnessing the ongoing stalking conduct inside of the parking garage. This is presence in the path. The demons are at the Tesla charges. They're stalking. They're stalking in the path. That's the significance of being in this environment. Stalking in the path by walking on the sidewalk, driving across the street. These are demons who are pacing. That's demonic, what you just saw. They're crossing path. They are all together systematically. Think about it in your mind as an aerial map. And on an aerial map, where I'm located is where the fake sun is. They're all pacing around me, just like what you just saw, engaging in surveillance at the United Chiropractic Center right here. This is Lemon and D Street. This is surveillance, stalking with light. They're monitoring, they're studying their device. They're keeping me under surveillance, listening to everything that I'm stating. The demons of the city of Ontario, Brightview, the ones Budget, Leonida Builders Incorporated, all the demons that come and participate, they're doing so under the fake sun, covering it up in the morning, does not change the same supernatural evidence of what is targeting by a population that targets with the ongoing evidence, which the entity is going to regret in court. All the evidence that you wanted to give and hand out about the police department stalking in helicopters and furtherance of murder, and the airport stalking with commercial planes and furtherance of murder to psychologically torture. And under no circumstances is the sun going to be at the same entrance, because that's what you're looking at when I'm arriving at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. That's what you're looking at when I'm here at 10 o'clock in the afternoon, and the demons are inside monitoring the entire time while I'm being terrorized outside, and that terrorism follows me right into this venue where that fake sun is over the same location. This is an unintelligent illusion. Meanwhile, by the way, yesterday I'm at 155 East Hope Boulevard. This is not that. It's not occurring at the same time. This is in the same plaza where I'm showing you at what is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the same thing where I'm standing here and you're looking at it at the same. This is the illusion as I'm showing you. The demons are stalking, and they're stalking. They're monitoring my vagina inside of the chambers of this venue for torture, okay, where they're stalking and they're mentally ill. This is all engineer light that shoots into the depths of that venue while they're stalking with the demons outside that are monitoring my vagina, driving in engineer light. 9PKL 109. This isn't even the sun. This is a homosexual predator, somebody that's stalking in furtherance of murder. And you know all of that based on this environment. And their pattern of conduct of stalking with impossible light. Not only is that not sunlight, sunlight's not ricocheting off of a building for you to touch that person while you're stalking them. They're demons. 8PGF 308.
on the roads and the highways. Mike LORENZ is going to be prosecuted as a terrorist leader because of him, because of that agency, targeting my life, psychologically torturing me as a bunch of demons that derive pleasure from murdering people. They're the demon possessed. And they're calling themselves a police department. They're gang stalking. They're on this patio right here, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, June 2025. All right, they're at this entrance, gang stalking after 6 p.m. And where's this fake sun? It's right here. Okay, I want to be clear, 8 o'clock in the morning, daylight savings time or not, there's no defense for what's going to be in federal court to disband and federally prosecute, that is, imprison all the kidnappers of that agency sharing in the pattern of conduct. This is impossible light. And at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, this impossible light is on the inside of that building. It's impossible that sunlight is appearing under this. The sun is also not adjacent. The sun is also not an idle object that's still going to be here 2 hours later, 4 hours, 5 hours later. And while it is here, and the 1 o'clock in the afternoon, while it is here at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, while it is still here, while I'm documenting on the inside, and this is in alignment to my face like it is now, after 4, 5 o'clock in the evening, stalking. With engineer light. 9LIA433 is conspiring my murder, and they're going to be prosecuted as a population of terrorists who are going to be deported if they're not even natural born citizens, and they're going to federal prison when they commit kidnapping with the agency, Ontario International Airport, with the Ontario Fire Department. That's impossible light appearing on the driver's side of a vehicle while they're parked in the shade. This is the pattern. These are the patterns that you're paying attention to. Under what's not even the sun. They're all intelligent while they're obsessively stalking somebody that led them to their demise and their exposure. 8CJ J871, and they go inside, just like this stalking in the path in engineer light, they go inside and stalk me at the computer stations. Gang stalking me, doing so while they're keeping my vagina under surveillance, doing so pacing, just like the demons are with commercial planes. Flight after flight after flight, doing U-turns. That's all they're doing is pacing inside of the chambers of this little demonic establishment that committed kidnapping. They committed kidnapping and they committed criminal summoning. You're going to federal prison for criminal summoning, and the wealth of this evidence isn't helping you. You're engaged in an ongoing P.O.C. when the destruction is yours, the end is yours, the conclusion is it's negative for you. So you've been doing it for my prosecutorial purposes. These are demons whose demise is inevitable. Okay, this is P.O.C. At 8:10 in the morning, this is the pattern of conduct. Mickey and John and Alex and Myra and Alan of IT, the demons that are gang stalking. You've got Starla. You have the entity that's gang stalking, Yesenia. You have Alexander. They're all engaged in the pattern of conduct targeting as a corrupt establishment. And they're watching all of this evidence on the internet. They're watching all of it. And they're watching themselves being prosecuted while the entity, the city of Ontario, is terrorizing me outside, terrorizing me while I go inside of this venue, terrorizing me while upon my exit of this venue. You're going to federal prison for aiding and kidnapping, which is in furtherance of murdering me. You're going to federal prison. I cannot make it any clearer for you. You're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:11 a.m. where the fake sun is still present at this venue at sunset. P.O.C. Okay, it's 8:17 a.m. The entity that has the fake sun over the Ontario Town Square is not on any, first of all, it's not even on the side of the property facing the entrance doors of 1555 East Hope Boulevard for there to be any even engineered light to be placed inside of that post office where that Asian male driving that white Tesla is occupying, the placement inside of that post office, stalking in the path. He's maintaining surveillance inside of that post office while that engineer light is on the inside of that post office. It's impossible. There's a structure covering it. It would be shade. Moreover, the fake sun is over that parking lot, and the entity has the fake sun advanced over. You could see it reflecting, as I documented at that post office, the fake sun's reflecting off of their rear windshields, which is a direct opposite location of where 224 North Euclid Avenue, where the airport is stalking. Flying exceedingly closer to me while that fake sun's over the post office versus being over me adjacent to the clock. You don't even see the clock in the sky space. The entity has the fake sun hunkered down beneath, lower in elevation than that clock, over me at this wall at 224 North Euclid Avenue, where yesterday the entity's maintaining the fake sun at 1555 East Hope Boulevard, where you'll recall the entity's maintaining engineer light inside of that post office and is also engaging in what is keeping the fake sun over that post office, where you're understanding the purposes of presence in that scientifically impossible environment, including presence by planes and helicopters where surveillance is underway over one person in furtherance of murdering that person. And they're doing it while they're witnessing the real-time exposure. Speaking to the evidence which is also simultaneously used to diagnose mental illness of the demon-possessed of the Nephilim, whose mental illness is a threat to the public. Okay? And this is also giving you context regarding what you're looking at on the news, the propaganda that you're being fed. UPS committed what is murder pursuant to this pattern of conduct of surveillance. They didn't accidentally crash into the property in Kentucky. They engaged in what is this pattern of demons that are engaging in what are positions that they pose a threat to the public in. And that's what happens when you have demons, when you have psychopaths, when you have gang stalkers in the cockpit, or they're stalking me in the way in which science is going to prosecute them in court and change the ways in which these laws are created to enable that, but also engaging in what is targeting as a population. Robert Rivera is here's targeting. The demon-possessed gang stalkers are maintaining presence in the path, sitting around me, stalking me. This is the conspicuous stalking that the government's engaging in. The government's not doing this anymore. This is exactly what is a threat to your life, while they're engaging in that with the government that's stalking, as I'm showing you the fake sun yesterday, stalking by planes, and the fake sun today, stalking by planes, in concert with the demons that are stalking together. And this is the entity that then calls Burtnick and tells them and lies and states that you are trying to break into something or that you're harassing them while you're listening to them all stalking under the fake sun. Those are the psychopaths. That's the Nephilim, and they're going to be prosecuted and deported. They're going into mental asylums. They're going to prison, and they're going to be labeled as terrorists because you need to know who they are. You should be able to look them up. You need to be able to look them up the times that we're in order to know who they are. Okay? It is, by the way, while the entity is maintaining that, you can look at the entity keeping the fake sun. I captured that video at 7:45 in the morning at off of Holt Boulevard, where the entity was stalking by planes. That's the Ontario International Airport. That's a threat to the national security. They're going to be shut down, and you will see the fake sun as I'm remaining there, and I'm waiting for it's 8:20 a.m. The fake sun is reflecting off of the rear view, the rear. Let me see, license plate. Let me redo this license plate because you'll see it. 6 Xavier 0 David 324, a blue Ford, and the windshield, the rear windshield, the fake sun is reflecting off of that. It's the direct opposite of where the fake sun is at. The Ontario Town Square, it's not going to be reflecting off of the back of that vehicle. It wouldn't be reflecting off of that vehicle under any circumstances. The entity has these third parties at the UPS, United States Postal Service, gang stalking me. And they're doing so while the entity is maintaining engineer light inside of that post office. Which you can see while they are walking in it, pacing, and that's when you're understanding the pacing. The fake sun is there. 8:20 a.m. It's 8:21 a.m. right now. The two aren't happening at the same time. Pay attention to my evidence. This is information regarding the Nephilim, how they want to murder you. They want to target you, unbeknownst to you, and they want to do so specifically before you have an opportunity to reconcile yourself unto Christ, which is through reconcile yourself to the Father through Christ Jesus, okay? The one who gave himself for you. And this is, I want to be clear, this is the way in which I have subverted death. And that is through the Lord himself who saved my life. And he saved my life for a purpose because you need to know about it. Because this is what people have been subject to. People that are dying in plane crashes by the Nephilim, by the terrorists that are in this country. And you don't even have any idea about it. There are people that have been targeted gang stalk like me, and they're dead, and you were told that they committed suicide, and they did no such thing. They did no such thing, and they never would have. And if there was an actual competent investigation about it, the evidence would show that there was no evidence of that. And even when you're given evidence about that to support that false narrative, it's evidence that's given to you controlled by it. It's not trustworthy. All right, so this is the P.O.C. you're going to look at. Yesterday, I'm referring to what is November 7, 2025 at 1555 East Holt Boulevard. And you will see where I'm located in that engineer light at 8:08 a.m. It's on the inside. Impulsive light activity. And remember, then it's also on the bus, on the Omnitrans bus where I get on Route 61. Impulsive light activity while the fake sun is already over me. It's 8:20 a.m. stalking by that airport. That airport is serving to prosecute the police department that lies about why they're present. Not only is my evidence showing that they're lying, not only is the evidence of that agency stalking me evidence that they're lying, the specific environment is evidence that's going to put them in asylums. It's going to put them in prison with regard to their lying while they're stalking me. And they're lying because they're intending to murder me. That's why a police department is ever stalking you. And that's what they're doing. And they're doing it in a way that they think that no one's going to know. License 00630J3 is sharing in that. Remember, when they're engaging in the same conduct under what's not the sun, they're molesting me with impossible light. Those demons that engage in that terrorism, they're monitoring you, they're terrorizing and psychologically torturing you, they're also sexually violating you, and they're doing it in furtherance of murdering you on behalf of that agency who's surrounded. Okay? While they're stalking me, I have them surrounded. This is P.O.C. It's 8:23 a.m. You'll see the entity stalking me by planes. Where the fake sun is where the entity is maintaining surveillance, including the next day when they cover up the fake sun. That's where the entity is maintaining surveillance. That's P.O.C. All right, criminal summoning by the terrorists, Ontario Fire Department, under the fake sun, with the people that say who you hear stalking, who you can hear stalking in the background. They're engaged in surveillance in the parking lot of Wells Fargo, surveillance via traffic, surveillance in concert with Ontario police, who are crossing path, gang stalking at B Street, where the fake sun is over me, by the way, at 6 in the evening, by helicopter, while that agency is stalking again at 8:32 in the morning, where the sun would not be over me in alignment to be next to me in the same address, okay? This entity is engaged in criminal summoning while monitoring stalking as I walk to the trash can back to the wall area where the fake sun is remaining, and it's not over mutually the 1555 East Hope Boulevard, United States Postal Service, where I'm documenting the people of the state. The people of the state that are engaging in terrorism. So this is everyone that I documented yesterday, and this is the reality regarding that prosecution. It's not just the demons at that post office, the demons gang stalking at Sinapec at 1630 East Holt, the demons gang stalking on the roads and the highways, stalking me as a population on Holt Boulevard, doing so while I am on what is Omnitrans, and the entity keeps the fake sun going in that direction west on Hope Boulevard as I'm coming to this address, and then going to Cardenas. Don't forget that, where I'm getting the fake sun. It's still not going to be here, nor is it simultaneously over the square where Michael Gerken is being exposed as a terrorist leader. Doing so in furtherance of murder, okay? Not just because he likes stalking, because he likes engaging in what is organized murder plots. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that with the population and is doing so while that fake sun is remaining over me, and I'm documenting the people of the state. License plates that include those that are at that United States Postal Service, and I'm reading their license plates. The current time is 8:36 a.m. At 8:26 a.m. I'm documenting 7 Larry Paul Apple 539. License plate 8 Thomas Zebra Frank 266. 7 Larry Kelly Charlie 218. 88669 Apple 3. 7 Apple Roger David 683. They're gang stalking at the concrete, the venue that's adjacent to the post office, referred to as the concrete patios or concrete. Let me see the venue where I'm documenting. Let me go ahead and include that in the document. Concrete protection services. That is covered in engineered light. It's all over the sidewalk, as I documented that at 7:38 a.m., where the entity was keeping the fake sun over me at ARCO, where Hardick is being documented as a potential immigrant who's subject to deportation. Doing so on behalf of the agency that's stalking on the roads and the highways around me. That's gang stalking by those that are driving in those same agency vehicles. The Ontario police, who claim that they receive phone calls and that's why they're in your presence. Those phone calls are criminal acts. It's an admission to targeting. This is how you're going to use literally what comes out of their mouth to prosecute them, both when they're lying and both when they're being truthful, making an admission about having received a phone call regarding anything that you're doing while you're engaged in surveillance. And what I'm doing is documenting the fact that you're surveilling me, trying to murder me, Satan, and you think you're going to get away with it wearing a police uniform. No, you're going to prison because you're wearing that uniform. They're gang stalking while the entity is sounding sirens. As I'm documenting the people of the state communicating a threat to me, that's conspicuously stalking me, where I can see you, where an American citizen can see that threat that engages in what is harassing them, that engages in what is being in their presence and making up information pursuant to targeting them, that threat pursuant to kidnapping them, where they don't even have any right to do so, and you didn't even violate the law that they don't have authority under because they're engaging in surveillance masquerading as law enforcement. That's the threat under the fake sun. That's not simultaneously over the post office, where I'm documenting the people of the state. Let's recall all the people of the state that I am documenting, however, because they were engaging in surveillance like I stated, all right? And science is proving the fact that they were stalking me while I'm at that location where the police, the fire, and the airport are stalking under that fake sun. Pay attention. This is Exhibit A. It's 8:38 a.m. and the fake sun is over me still at the United States Postal Service. Yeah, that's not helpful to the demons that are going to be prosecuted and who are going to federal prison. Crossing path at Wells Fargo. That's significant with regard to the fake sun that's over me. And crossing path as though you're taking off, and you're doing the Southwest Airlines is the one that's engaged in that right now. 7:43 a.m. Southwest Airlines is acting like they're taking off by rising in elevation over Holt Boulevard, at where I'm located at 1630 East Holt. They're doing so while I'm capturing that environment. That's audible noise by the demons that are gang stalking. They're going to prison. They engage in criminal summoning. They're going to prison. They engage in stalk with the possible light while they're monitoring with that agency, with that government, and furtherance of murder. They're going to federal prison. They're being deported out of this country. And you need to not be uncooperative to that end, because they are threatening your life while they're in this country, engaging in this impunity, conspiring your murder, and you're not even aware of it because you haven't experienced it yet. And it's a real life threat to you, real time threat to you. Okay? It's currently, by the way, 8:40 a.m. And so this is what you're going to recall. While the entity's gang stalking at Wells Fargo, 240 North Euclid Avenue, science is showing not only is that business targeting and furtherance of murdering me, just like they are last night. That engineered light that's on the top of that Wells Fargo, that's the engineered light that's covering that Wells Fargo right now. And the agency, the Ontario Police, they're very fearful of me reading these license plates that I'm going to read anyway. But you hearing that helicopter activity is letting you know that Carlos is going to prison for gang stalking at the Ontario Town Square. And every license plate that I documented this morning, they're gang stalking with including the employees inside of that Wells Fargo, are engaging in terrorism with that agency that's flying over my head, stalking me at Cardenas by helicopter yesterday. That was Sunbelt. That was Griffith Company. Gang stalking at Cardenas, those that are even of immigrant population, the immigrant status, terrorizing me by flying over the top of my head and over that fake sun. The entity sounding helicopter activity while I'm going to read these license plates that are gang stalking with that same agency threatening my life. You keep thinking that's because you're a psychopath. That's literally insanity. They engage in the ongoing documented federal offenses as though it's going to stop me from the document. No, I'm going to document that, and you're going to prison, like I already said, such as Mike LORENZ. This is the agency engaging in a pattern of conduct. That's not coincidentally the case when the fake sun is over me and you're sounding helicopter activity by that agency that's stalking me day and night in a scientifically impossible environment. Where the third party with license plate 6XOD324 has the fake sun over their rear windshield while they are parked at 1555 East Hope Boulevard at 8:25 a.m. The entity is gang stalking, and I'm documenting the people of the state, including state actor 9 Thomas Barry Charlie 704, parked at the United States Postal Service, gang stalking me under a fake sun. License plate 8 Robert Wendy Victor 736, gang stalking with the United States Postal Service, the federal government that's gang stalking me, like under a fake sun. And this is at what is 8:27 a.m. It's 8:42 a.m. right now. The fake sun remains at the United States Postal Service. License plate 7 Yolanda 0 Robert 141. And the entity is gang stalking me inside of that post office, okay? The entity is maintaining ongoing obsessive surveillance. The African-American female with the blonde braids, that conversation of the Latina female with the baby stalking under the fake sun. This is an iteration of the P.O.C. while I'm documenting the P.O.C. inside of any establishment. And this is the P.O.C. underway by the United States Postal Service, the federal government, in other words, that's keeping you under surveillance. Forgive me if you can hear that. I'm eating a cucumber. It's rather crunchy and delightful. So the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and I want to include these license plates of these other third parties while I was there, because they're all gang stalking. As you go from day to day, this is the aggregate. The fake sun shining over me, 9GAW538. That's the white Tesla, the Asian male who goes and sits and gang stalks me by keeping his attention on the self-service machine inside of that post office. He's stalking on behalf of this agency that's stalking me by helicopter because they know that I'm documenting them. You're going to prison. That's the formula for prison. Okay? This is what they do to American citizens. They try to run them over, actually harm them, actually kidnap them, shoot them, hit them with their cars while they sound their sirens, while they're stalking and monitoring everything that you're doing, and you seek to document it, you seek to enforce your rights. You're going to prison. You're going to prison, Satan. You're going to federal prison, and you put yourself there. This is P.O.C. So I'm going over the evidence of the people of the state that are gang stalking at the United States Postal Service, where the sun's not simultaneously over the post office, reflecting off of the rear windshield of the vehicles in that parking lot, and also over the Ontario Town Square, like I documented on an ongoing daily basis, where the entity is routinely stalking me. That's how you're getting to, oh, it's not everybody, it's me. And you already knew that. This is me proving that. And I can do that. That's fine. I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. But this is a weight and a threat that is inhumane with regard to what an American citizen should not be subject to. And based on the size of that threat, based on the criminal purpose of that system, you are going to be prosecuted as a terrorist, and you're going to federal prison. You will be permanently barred from being in this country. If you're not a natural born, you're engaging in terrorism, you're out of here and you're barred from coming back. You're not coming back. We have enough terrorists here. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and the license plate 272410 with the FP, small letters on the side of that license plate, that out-of-state license plate. And this is a white male. I documented him gang stalking. I believe that's a Wisconsin plate. I documented him before because he looks familiar, and I documented him gang stalking at the same post office. And that was where I was giving you the hypothetical regarding demons that don't have a defense because you work at the venue. Oh, that's supposed to be their defense for not gang stalking. That's totally legally irrelevant. It's relevant insofar as you're admitting to engaging in the conspiracy to commit murder by maliciously engaging in surveillance by employment at a facilitating venue. The fact that it's a facilitating venue, you're being prosecuted. The fact that you work there, you're being prosecuted as engaging in systematically targeting with the government that needs you there. And you know that. That's why you're not coincidentally stalking with light, not coincidentally subject to that terrorism at that venue where they work. You're not separate from that pattern of conduct. This is the entity that's going to be prosecuted by its own terrorism. 9M Zebra Jack 778 and stalking with noise getting out of their vehicle 3TQN 644. Gang stalking with the entity that sounds helicopter as they listen to me begin. That's a male going right inside of the facilitating venue as Wells Fargo. Gang stalking. These are the demons that engage in criminal summoning with the police while they want to appear and they don't appear as that under the fake sun and an engineer light. Like they're not concerned about you, like they're not stalking you. But then the entity is summoning Burtnick, talking about you're trying to break into a building. They're going to prison. And you're going to prosecute facilitating venues like Wells Fargo, Ontario Town Square, OVITT Family Community Library. The damages that are incalculable with your genitalia being under surveillance, with people stalking you in the bathroom. People stalking you inside and outside of the bathroom cooperatively. People stalking you in the bathroom inside and outside of the building cooperatively. Okay, this is the P.O.C. and the license plates are doing that. It's 8:46 a.m. So this is the whole purpose of that documentation. The entity is maintaining this specific environment, and I'm documenting license plates. I'm documenting where I'm located. Yeah, at 8:46 a.m. at the same exact time while these demons are stalking via Wells Fargo, in concert with Wells Fargo, 5 Apple Charlie Edward 381 is gang stalking me, and you'll see the fake sun off of its rear windshield while they're stalking at the United States Postal Service at 1555 East Holt Boulevard. Where to the time right now, that fake sun remains present. It's not coexisting over the square where the entity is sounding helicopter. Remember, where the entity is stalking, I'm showing you how you identify this system. The entity that is engaging in that helicopter activity, that's automatically associated with stalking. That's how you know the fake sun is here. That's how you know surveillance is underway, even if they're covering up the fake sun. That helicopter activity. Okay? And what is it amplified? That's regarding the state that's engaging in surveillance in the most frightening manner that the Nephilim could think up. What did they think up? Oh, we'll terrorize, we'll stalk them, we'll psychologically torture them by stalking them in helicopters in a manner that demons did not think could ever be identified. But what do they know? They're demons. They sit around consuming bodily fluids of the people that they worship. Okay, they're not sane. They're also not intelligent. They're engaging in this pattern of conduct in a readily identifiable manner, meaning the fake sun. And the fake sun is over me at 8:48 a.m. as I am facing what is east. And you are looking at, and that picture at 8:48, let me include all the seconds, at 2025-1107 _0848 and 50 seconds. It's 8:48 right now. Let me go ahead and take a picture. You'll see 1630 East Holt Boulevard, which I'm facing southeast, and you'll see behind me is the 1555 East Holt Boulevard, the post office where I'm standing on the sidewalk, and the demons are gang stalking by crossing path. Like I said, it's not traffic, it's surveillance. And I'm going to show you what is not over that street, what is not even in the same direction, what's reflecting off of the rear windshield of that third-party beginning with license 5 Apple Charlie Edward is not over the Ontario Town Square where the entity sounds helicopter activity. The audacity of fools, okay, bombastic in their stupidity. You're going to prison. This is what you think that it's, they delight in. No, they think that it's satisfying and it's satiating to them to engage in terrorizing. You're threatening the wrong person. And you're a fool to not even realize that, to still be flying over the top of my head and stalking me. And then engaging in that again because they already know they don't have anything to lose. And because of that unlawful threat to American citizens, you're going to prison. You're not getting out. Because you will regret it. 7 Zebra Thomas Paul 860. Apple David Larry Edward 93, and that's an out-of-state. I believe that's a Colorado plate. It's white and dark blue. Maria Solis Alvarez gang stalking me with Speaker Companies Incorporated in Los Angeles, had a Colorado plate. Gang stalking. All right, stalking with Impossible Light on every other day, doing the same thing. 7 David Edward Mary 147 gang stalking in that parking lot. Okay, when they're engaging in terrorizing you, stalking you with Impossible Light, while you're looking at evidence that they're triggered hostile to, they're stalking you with Impossible Light. 7 David Edward Mary 471 is engaged in the same federal offense, criminal monitoring, proven through what is a fake sun. It's never going to occur in the first place. In addition to it would have been enough for that demon to be gang stalking you under the fake sun. Oh, they want to touch you with Impossible Light. You want to do that? You want to go to an asylum. That's what you want. You want to go to prison for gang stalking with the police that are maintaining surveillance through that, with that, by that, while they're monitoring your devices in violation of federal stalking statute 22618 subsections 1 and 2, Title 18. And you also know all of that by the environment. Okay? They're under the fake sun that's over the post office, reflecting off of the rear windshield windows of the demons who are gang stalking and prosecuting them. This is how they're working against each other. And this is what you get when you're stalking a federal prosecutor who knows where to lead you. Because I'm showing you that they're stalking me. And they're psychopaths stalking under a fake sun. And everything that they've done, engaging in that, to obstruct exposing that, to violate my life, to try to take my life, you're going to prison for it. You're going to federal prison for it. It is 8:51 a.m. All right, 7944084, I believe. Stalking with the Wells Fargo and with the airport that you can hear stalking in the background. The entity has the fake sun yesterday while I'm still at the post office, and then I'm getting on the bus. The entity has the fake sun outside of the driver's side of that bus. Impossible Light by the stalker that's in operation of their device. This is a male with a ponytail. As you look at the documentation from yesterday, you'll see the entity stalking with the whole environment, which is terrorism. License 97838Y3. That license plate is accurate. 3TQN644, 8MZK741. They're all a population stalking together while the absurdity of a fake sun, which is proven through evidence that will never defame any American citizen. In fact, it will prove the mental illness of that targeting entity that is together conspiring the murder of that American citizen. 9 Edward Frank Yolanda 428, 8 Victor Xavier Frank 855, Wells Fargo 240 North Euclid Avenue, 9 Edward Thomas Wendy 148, 31578 Kelly 2, 9 Henry Thomas Kelly 749, 8 Zebra Queen Edward 829. Gang stalking at downtown Ontario luxury apartments. Demons stalking as a population. That's why they're molesting with Impossible Light. That's how you're tying all their demonic behaviors together while they're monitoring. This is the conspiracy to murder while they engage in that. 5 David Larry Frank 697. They're all inside of Wells Fargo monitoring as well. They're surrounded with the evidence. The sun isn't even going to be here, let alone none of that conduct. Traffic creates that light activity. They're stalkers. They're murderers. And they're sex offenders. License. Engaging in surveillance. 58882 Edward Larry. P.O.C. Gang stalking with children, gang stalking with boys and girls, homosexual women obsessing over my vagina. It's because they're demons, stalking me in the middle of the night, wanting to touch on me with molesting. Those aren't just the boys engaging in that. Those are the girls. They're demons. 9 DFK 437, 9 Mary David Jerry 204. Gang stalking, a male, black Lexus license plate. Let me get this one first. 87415 Xavier 3. And this license plate is AE75 Victor 24, a paper plate on an old black Lexus. It's not brand new, putting paper plates on their vehicles. It's something California's doing. California's going to be prosecuted. California knows that it's being documented as well. The governor knows that I'm exposing the state. Every gang stalking mayor that I've known are aware of what it is that I've stated about them. The people of the state know that they're being documented. They've been engaged in all manner of obstruction of justice. These paper plates and all this, it's not going to work, and it's relevant to what I've been exposing for years, by the way. So you're always knowledgeable with regard to the things that have conspired. It's relevant to what I've been exposing the entire time. Don't forget about that. It's licensed, it's 9:21 a.m. where the airport's flying over. The entity's keeping the fake sun while I'm getting on Omnitrans from not from 1555. I actually walk up to the nearest intersection because there's no bus stop in front of that post office, and I documented that. The entity's stalking by the airport along Hope Boulevard. what is south of my person, flying over the vineyards. And I documented many license plates on those properties where those businesses are gang stalking me, businesses conspiring to murder, businesses engaging in surveillance. That's how foreign countries are maintaining surveillance of American citizens. They come to this country, they form business alliances with people in this country, with the government, and they're here keeping us under surveillance, reporting back to wherever they're from. Demons that are monitoring, maintaining that means of intelligence, if you will. They know all about your genitalia. They're keeping you under surveillance. They know what threat, if any, that you pose. And that's speaking to the whole country. Those demons know exactly who I am now with regard to what the Lord has me doing, but they have been engaged in what is conspiring my murder. They being the entity. This is not just an American crime. America is engaged in conspiring against American citizens, targeting them with the people of the state. The United States government is targeting us, keeping us under surveillance against our constitutional rights with other countries. And it's as easy as forming a business in the state. Forming a business. It's 9:23 to come and be present and maintain some means of presence from another country. Okay? It is currently 9:23 a.m. P.O.C. I want you to listen to that helicopter activity because it's happening under the fake sun that's over the square and not over Cardenas at 720 East Hope Boulevard, not over Church's Texas Chicken at 700 East Hope Boulevard, where the population is stalking together. License 9 UKB 219 is stalking with the police in furtherance of murdering me. Stalking with light, stalking under a fake sun, sharing in relevant positioning, not coincidentally, been in concert with the entity that's monitoring my devices. Walking your dogs under the fake sun is P.O.C. Playing with your kids in the under the fake sun at the playground is P.O.C. And this is P.O.C. that's underway. As you'll recall, the entity is stalking with impossible light at Cardenas Markets. That's speaking to what is a scene that is both supernatural and strategically placed for gang stalking by the population that's being prosecuted the next day with the Ontario police, just like they were yesterday. License plate. 5DLF597, I believe. I can't really see that one. This is P.O.C. Wells Fargo, 240 North Euclid Avenue, just like I stated. Let me show you the entity that's stalking by a helicopter. This is the pattern of conduct by Burtnick, who lies and states that he got a call from the people of the state that are not targeting you. That's a lie. He's going to prison. That's in furtherance of murder. A documented lie, a documented misrepresentations regarding malicious tactics to harass and threaten and stalk while they're keeping the evidence under surveillance. That helicopter activity is captured right now at 9:35 a.m. I'm going to show you the fake sun that's over me. It's not over Cardenas Markets. It's not over where Sunbelt is stalking me, driving by, gang stalking with the tractor, while the Ontario police fly over the top of my head after I document the entity terrorizing me, stalking at a grocery store. That's how pathetic the demons are. Gang stalking together. Okay? This is the entity that's doing so at 224 North Euclid Avenue. That's not over Cardenas, as you can see it on video. Hunkered down, sitting on that roof, where the mentally ill are stalking you and monitoring you in grocery stores, in furtherance of murdering you, targeting you inside of the grocery stores with impossible light, in furtherance of murdering you. Doing so as a population with a bunch of demons that lie about having reasonable suspicion, probable cause while they're stalking you. The Ontario police are going to be disbanded. Mike Lorenz being prosecuted as a terrorist. And a psychopath who are stalking in helicopters, not engaged in anything remotely close to law enforcement. Not even close. That's P.O.C. That helicopter activity you heard is an admission to surveillance by all these demons who are pedophiles in custody of minor children with whom they're engaging in criminal surveillance in furtherance of murdering somebody, and they want you to see them next to little babies that they have sex with, that they sacrifice, that they gang stalk other people with. P.O.C. It's 9:36 a.m. at Ontario Town Square. Oh, and don't forget, the fake sun's in the same position as I walk out at 1 p.m. like I did. I believe that was not yesterday, but the day before yesterday, where I am documenting the fake sun at that entrance at 1 p.m. And the entity is gang stalking by walking in the employees of OVITT Family Community Library. That's what I'm facing right now. Remember also the fake sun's in alignment while I'm inside of that library at 6 p.m., 5:50 p.m. Fake sun's in alignment to me where the Ontario police are stalking just like they are at Cardenas and at Church's Chicken, where the Ontario police are stalking just like they are at the Ontario Town Square using helicopters. helicopters, and they're stalking in that scientifically impossible environment where none of these demons who stalk with impossible light and make malicious assertions about what you're not doing while they know that you're documenting their satanic and psychopathic pattern of conduct, they're together engaging in that system together. And they're engaging in what is their outdated system. When you engage in the pattern of conduct as a means of trying to stop that P.O.C., stop the documentation, that's not stopping what is the federal prosecutor who is here to engage and maintain that documentation, including the documentation proving that you're aware of the fact that you're being documented while you're trying to murder somebody. That's coloring the crime. That's showing you what is a maniacal psychopath and a serial killer that likes to disguise itself under names like Ontario Police, like OVITT Family Community Library. They are referred to as the people of the state. And they're engaging in what is this pattern of conduct, conspiracy to murder under deceptive misnomers such as Cardenas Markets, such as Church's Texas Chicken, such as the Ontario Town Square, such as the children's play area where they're stalking in the path. A bunch of demons came out with their kids in tow to engage in activity creation with the agency that's stalking in helicopter under a fake sun. These are the same ones that engage in assault with a deadly weapon with their kids in the back seat because they're hostile while they're being documented. These are the psychopaths that are at the same Ontario Town Square in the evening at 4, 5, and 6 p.m. Don't be deceived by Satan. Satan is mentally ill. Satan will murder you with their kids in the car. Yeah, that's what's engaging in the P.O.C. These are demons. This is the Nephilim. Unfortunately, the Nephilim are procreating. But the Lord God is going to, there's a curse over the demon-possessed, them and their generations of demons that have engaged in this very system. It's just under the circumstances of what is a government that's engaging in corruption. Hence a prosecution for it. But this is demonic activity. This is spiritual warfare that Satan has lost, and it's been long existing. Okay, this is the P.O.C. All of these terrorists are gang stalking at the Ontario Town Square with the, like I said, the airport. Evidence against the people of the state. You're mentally ill and you're going to be prosecuted and you're going to be committed while you keep your back to me gang stalking with the toddler, while you're doing so under the fake sun, while you're engaged in criminal conduct while the Ontario Police Department and everybody knows what they're doing. You're doing it under a fake sun that's in an entirely different location. I don't have to see your unattractive face to prosecute you. Okay, this is P.O.C. These are cowards, and they're also monitoring my vagina in that same manner. They're also keeping my vagina under surveillance, boys and girls, the Nephilim alike. And that includes the Ontario Police, who you hear stalking in a helicopter. I captured images of it. They're doing so as a population. All they're doing is moving their demonic person's bodies inside of that library, stalking, because the employees inside of that venue, they need help pacing. They need help stalking in the path with noise. That's why the demons are going in there, in the same way that the government needs help keeping me under surveillance. Doing it conspicuously under the guise of what is exposing public corruption. The employees need help inside of the establishments. The government needs help altogether by the people of the state. They're all being helped by the feds. They're going to prison. They're being prosecuted. They're being prosecuted as terrorists. They're being deported out of this country as terrorists. This is P.O.C. It's 9:40 a.m. I am still remaining at where I'm documenting Griffith Company. I'm documenting the demons gang stalking at Campus and Holt, which is not 224 North Euclid Avenue. And moreover, when I walk outside of the entrance of this same library, you're looking at the illusion that all these demons are going to be diagnosed and prosecuted by, because the fake sun's in the same position at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm documenting the employees gang stalking, engaging in terrorism right in front of your face. While walking into this entrance where the fake sun's in the same position over me, and it's in the same position. While yesterday at this time, it's in a totally different location. That's where you're going to disband terrorists that are murdering people and putting on police uniforms to get away with it. That's what LAPD did, murdering a young man that's in the middle of the street. That's not an excuse for surveillance. They knew exactly where he was at. They studied him. This is surveillance that's underway. And that was a premeditated act of violence, resulting in what is the demise of that individual who expired. And that's a part of the pattern of conduct. The entity is stalking by helicopter. You need to understand they're murderers. They run people over and get away with murder just like LAPD did. You need to understand this is the ongoing emergency that I've been subject to. They're going to prison for the ongoing perpetual threat, if you will, that I've been subject to for years, seeking to engage in murdering me over and over and over again, maintaining that ongoing campaign of seeking to murder me. They're going to prison for that. So is our federal officials like Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, the entity that is acting as with regard to the people of the state that are gang stalking here. This is what Tracy Banks is. This is what Eric Spencer. This is what Tommy Allen Banks represent. The people of the state that are targeting with that government. At the grocery store at Cardenas, on the construction vehicles of Sunbelt and Griffith Company, and also under the sun that's simultaneously and mutually over me in both places at 224 North Euclid Avenue, where it remains until sunset, where that agency is shown to be targeting and relying on the demon-possessed people of the state who are light-slinging gargoyles just like them to engage in and commit criminal summoning. All these psychopaths are being handled simultaneously. This is P.O.C. and they're engaged in monitoring on the internet. Federal stalking is in real-time execution as the entity is gang stalking, and those that are doing so, they are a threat to the children that they're gang stalking with. That's what you need to recognize, and this is why you have terrorism systematically underway while they're engaging in what is the pattern of conduct with the government, and the government's engaging in the pattern of conduct with the people of the state, demon-possessed families. And I've shown you, and you're aware of the sexual violence that the demons practice, that they inflict upon others, and then they go home with kids. Okay? They're trying to harm someone by running them over with their car, with their kids in the car. Their kids are in the car. They go home with these little children that they're gang stalking with. They're not looking like normal families. They're looking like psychopaths who are a threat to the public. P.O.C., it is 9:43 a.m. Another note, you're always paying attention to the documentation. Remember the path that I walked yesterday from Cardenas. That's crossing path with the Ontario City Hall. That's gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department. That fake son takes the path that I take while they're over here playing with their demon-possessed children that are monitoring, okay? They're doing so pursuant to what is the pattern of conduct, government conduct, where the government's burden isn't to what do you do with children with demons on them. That's beyond what is your ability or even your legitimate interest, but it is relevant context. The fake son is over me at the Ontario Town Square, where yesterday it's not even at this property, and I have still yet to walk toward this location, coming from what is the Ontario Fire Department house. The fake son over me at that, again, that address, the Ontario Fire, because they're demons and they're gang stalking and they engaged in criminal summoning. You saw that fire truck, lights and sirens were used with regard to those demons manifesting. Okay, the entity, while you're looking at that ongoing inconsistent environment, speaking to what is targeting me through that environment, where demons, by definition, that environment is letting you know that they're not just stalking, that they're demons who are stalking. Those demons have been masquerading as a police department for a very long time. And this is that permanent removal of them and their appropriate prosecution based on not being law enforcement officers, being domestic terrorists, based on what is the proof of all of the allegations. That is committed with a population. Okay, a population of mentally ill predators who are under things like a fake sun that is stalking with light during the day. They're stalking me with light at night. That's what you see on the Wells Fargo building. Engineer light while you're stalking in the path with the airport that's flying over the bank. Okay, the same pattern of conduct while that police department is gang stalking. This is the entity that has the fake sun over me yesterday while I come from Cardenas and Church's Chicken at Campus and Holt. I proceed to walk west. I document that fake sun moving in the direction west. You're witnessing the entity keep the fake sun over me at Ontario Town Square, where that police department is again stalking. That's what Burtnick is doing. Burtnick is going to federal prison. American citizens die when Burtnick does exactly what it is that he did. It's just that you don't see any evidence of it. The target individual that died does not maintain any documentation about it. The target individual that is subject to this surveillance system is one that doesn't even know about the existence of it. And the design of this system is such that were you to make any allegations, you are at the outset, they've already surrounded you with a gang stalking family, fake friends that are poised to defame your character, to discard you from society while they're targeting you until they kill you. Okay? This is the end. Burtnick's going to prison. Okay? There's no sun that's going to be over the F Street and Palm. There's no sun that's simultaneously over me at 1630 East Holt. There's no airport takeoffs off of East Holt while you're taking off there, but then they're taking off over here over the ARCO parking lot. And then as I go to the town square, now you're taking off flying central over the property. You're doing so under what is not the sun that's simultaneously over all three of those locations. It's also not creating any sunlight that's going to ricochet off of your car. It's also not a coincidence while you are stalking, flying over my head at these venues, the Cardenas markets, where I then walk from that location to this location. Today, I'm here well before that. And the fake sun's not anywhere near the Ontario City Hall. Remember, the fake sun is hunkered down beside the buildings, not over them. So you're not looking at what's a sun that's over everything, for example, or in a position whereby it's also appearing next to me in a picture that I take as I'm walking from Cardenas in the direction west through the parking lot of the Ontario City Hall, where Amazon Prime is gang stalking by flying over Metro 102 apartments and the Ontario Town Square townhomes. And that fake sun is over me at Ontario City Hall as I walked in through this plaza. Don't forget about the evidence. because these demons do, but you're not. Neither is a federal judge. I'm talking to those who are learning, who are understanding and witnessing the arrival. It's not the arrival, but it's arrival insofar as they're being exposed. The Nephilim are here. They're gang stalking amongst the government, through businesses, through the demon-possessed family structure, through the demon-possessed society, population. And they're obsessed. They grow more maniacal because they're demons. They grow more maniacal even though they're going to prison. They're going to prison. This isn't ending well, and they're growing more maniacal while I expose them. 18 Nancy David 541, stalking in the path, on behalf of the police, stalking under a fake sun, a scientific phenomenon, speaking to them, targeting me specifically, and they know exactly who I am and what I'm saying, and they also keep my vagina under surveillance. They are a population maintaining that same psychopathic conduct, pacing, stalking me at this venue where the fake sun is still present, for the employees to monitor me on camera. They're going to regret that in court. That's called impunity and malice while you're conspiring murder. And they're doing so while I'm capturing the fake sunset here. This is P.O.C. Paul Leon, in other words, is not remaining in office. No gang stalking, conspirator of murder is going to sit and deceive all of us, calling himself a mayor and sitting in office. No, you are not, Satan. You are not. You will not be doing that. He's been in office 20 years too long. This is P.O.C. It's 9:49 a.m. Alrighty, the entity could have continued its helicopter activity, but it resumes its helicopter activity while listening to me speak to what's going to happen and engaging in stalking with the demons that are at the Ontario Town Square. So let me read you their license plates, because they're going to be prosecuted. All right, not only is the entity engaging in the P.O.C., let me take a picture of flying over the library. The entity has the fake sun with regard to stalking me by helicopter. Irreconcilable location. And the demons are stalking at OVITT Family Community Library. You can see them. The African-American male, he's gang stalking on a systematic basis. The burgundy shirt, he's engaged in what is bathroom monitoring. He's a sex offender. He's a psychopath. And he's engaged in gang stalking. This demon license plate 58144B2. The police are stalking by the maintenance of this demon, engaging in surveillance under the fake sun. This is what they're doing last night in Engineer Light while the airport is maintaining serial flight over the business. This is an old white male, 58144B2, gang stalking. 5DXB 486, gang stalking. Gang stalking by being present on behalf of that same agency inside of the library all day long and engaging in surveillance under a fake sun. Psychopaths just sitting around monitoring with communication devices. That this is that population that's going to be prosecuted as the terrorists that they are. 9TUJ264, 7FFX326. And what you're understanding is that the demons of the OVITT Family Community Library, they're going to prison, because this is the population that's engaging in kidnapping with them. They're engaging in criminal summoning just like Burtnick engaged in. That's what the OVITT Family Community Library does under a fake sun. You're surrounded with that. And why do they engage in that foolishness? Because they really thought that spell work and voodoo and that defaming me and that there was never going to be a federal court case and that no one's ever going to listen. They're going to prison. 8MTB637, gang stalking with them. Crossing path. The entity is monitoring. Understand that this is the same police department that hasn't left. This is vicarious presence. 4XUT780. Those demons in a helicopter just engage in the elements of monitoring together with these demons who are under a fake sun that is remaining over me while I'm walking to this location yesterday. And it's remaining over me as I arrive walking by through what is Sultana off of Hope Boulevard and then walking on B Street, crossing the Ontario Fire Department. None of that's happening while I'm staying at the Ontario Town Square. None of it. And none of it is coexisting with being over me, which I'm documenting, at the Ontario Airport Inn. I'm capturing the video at 9:18 a.m. That fake sun sitting over the edge of that Ontario Airport Inn where they're stalking me with impossible light inside of that laundry room while these demons are obsessively stalking, including by helicopters. That's what Ontario police are engaging in. While they listen to me speak to the fact that Paul Leon's not staying in office and then stalking me by helicopter, he definitely ain't staying in office. 8NUU 546. And they're doing so while that entity is engaged in that P.O.C. Plain activity as I start walking. Paul Leon is not staying in office. Okay? Gang stalkers are being deported out of this country. 6 Zebra Bob Kelly 964. P.O.C. All right, pacing in and out of their vehicles, opening up their trunks, turning on their hazard lights, doing so under the fake sun. This is an Asian couple. They're engaged in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so under the fake sun. So let me show you how the POC is underway. Those that are in this country of immigrant status, terrorizing and furtherance of murder with the people of the state, the government. That's plain hell. That's Amazon Prime that just flew over 280 North Lemon Apartments, over the fake sun that's in the same position at 4 o'clock in the evening. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct, their license plate, again, 4 Zebra Bob Kelly 964. License 8NUU 546. That's deportation. Understand that's not an individualized crime. And these psychopaths are sitting here while the entity is doing so on behalf of the police. This is surveillance with the police. This is gang violence that Mike Lorenz is being prosecuted for. 8 Kelly, Charlie Zebra, 872. These demons over here playing with their little activity creators, monitoring with the police. This is not cute family time. This is terrorism. This is terrorism that they're monitoring under a whole fake sun. They're psychopaths that unfortunately procreate. And it's gross, and it's also a threat to national security. Because when demons procreate, they're engaged in monitoring. License 8 Mary Nancy Xavier 375. Impossible light activity is under the vehicle in the shade. Where the entity is stalking with, that's plane activity, helicopter activity, and presence, while terrorists play with their kids, which is a form of criminal stalking. Crossing path. Guess who has gang stalking? Securitas. Guess what they're doing together? Criminal summoning on September 28, 2025. They're also gang stalking together while the entity sounds sirens and Securitas is here wearing a uniform, patrolling on the property. They're gang stalking together then. They're gang stalking together while that same agency is stalking me by helicopter on the grounds of the Ontario Town Square, and Securitas is patrolling around, monitoring, gang stalking on the job. While that public corruption is underway. He engaged in what is kidnapping. Securitas engaged in kidnapping on September 28th through what is, again, Burtnitz's tactic. Oh, I harassed somebody. Okay. You're going to prison. If you call me documenting the fact that you're conspiring my murder by gang stalking me with the police, who you then summon because you don't like the fact that I'm documenting you, if that's harassment, you're going to prison for it. 7 Zebra David 852, stalk with the possible light, where the entity is stalking. Amazon Prime is the specific terrorist. Okay. UPS committing murder in Kentucky. Okay, that's both a company and that's also the airlines. The airports are engaged in surveillance. The airline companies are engaged in surveillance, and those that are in positions at these airports are engaged in surveillance. The population is as well. And so this is what is underway. The people of the state that are gang stalking me in furtherance of murder are the same ones whose lives will be taken. These demons Satan isn't discriminating. They're suicidal. They kill each other. And they also do so to targeted individuals. Edward Henry 5'8", Xavier 2'3", paper. And 8 Nancy Uncle 546, that's a car full of the people of the state. They are engaged in the pattern of conduct, whether or not they're actually immigrants is relevant to deportation. Okay, P.O.C, this is surveillance while they're sitting in their vehicle, leaving their vehicles, where Amazon Prime is gang stalking, flying over, where the Ontario Police Department is flying over. The entity has a fake sun in an entirely irreconcilable location. The Ontario Airport Inn, Sunday, okay? I'm coming to the OVITT Family Community Library at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, after 1 o'clock. The fake sun is over me now, where they're engaged in surveillance with the police, with the airport. Where the entity, yesterday, I'm coming from what is the Cardenas Markets, where Griffith Company, where Sunbelt, having a field day, gang stalking, engaging in terrorism, demons that wear hard hats. The entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct together pursuant to the ongoing corrupt system of surveillance that's underway through the people. And, okay, they're all demons. They're in this environment because they're demons that are existing amongst us, and they have engaged in that by maintaining a whole demonic environment that you are typically ignorant about. You are ignorant about because nobody's talking about this. Nobody. Not even NASA. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Okay, the people that work for NASA, let me be clear, they are also normal people who live lives, and they're not separate from the rest of the world. So whatever neighborhood, wherever their houses are, wherever they live, it's under a fake sun. But yet they're not speaking about what is this scientific phenomenon that I myself had to undertake regarding proving its reality and how it is relevant to what is a targeting system, surveillance to be specific, and exposing what is demonic and a demon-possessed population who are engaging in concerted activity. That is unlawful, a matter of public corruption. Okay, this is something that NASA is not talking about, and that's something you should pay attention to as well. Where the entity is gang stalking, they're doing so relative to where the fake sun is over me, and the fake sun is over me at the Ontario City Hall. That's what you're paying attention to. That mayor is being removed. All angles are pointing to what is removal, being unseated. No demon-possessed gang-stalking mayor who is targeting me with these cockroaches, 8XIF222, a light-slinging gargoyle, some demon that's stalking another woman. She's a psychopath with demonic light activity on the outside of the car while she's driving in the shade under a fake sun that's not even here in a natural environment. And that's why the demons at 1 o'clock, 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon are able to do the same thing while they're stalking as a population. In other words, Mike Lorenz is being prosecuted for the pattern of conduct that agency is proven beyond a reasonable doubt to be engaged in. In fact, science is speaking to what is going to prosecute terrorists that are masquerading as having, first of all, authority under the law where they're actually engaged in surveillance. and doing so regarding what is a matter of public corruption. And OVITT Family Community Library is at the forefront regarding prosecuting corrupt establishments that are facilitating violence. They're engaged in harassment all day long while they're stalking me inside of the library, and they're all centering their attention on me in the same way that the fake sun proves. Okay, in the same way that the gang stalking airport and the gang stalking police department prove. This is the P.O.C. The entity's engaging in that with regard to what is impunity and malice. That's also relevant to sentencing. That's also relevant to what is the ways in which you're going to disincentivize and implode the system that's imploding. You're deporting them out the country. They're going to prison. You're going to prison for a kidnapping. You're going to prison for kidnapping, for facilitating kidnapping, for engaging in that. You're for being present, monitoring. That's the demons of the Ontario International Airport. That's the demons that are gang stalking, engaging in criminal summoning. They're inside of the library. They're all stalking. So when the entity engages in criminal summoning, they're all inside monitoring together. The entity that commits kidnapping, you're going to federal prison while you're in that library monitoring together. The entity is engaged in this gang stalking conduct, and every aspect of that crime is relevant with regard to what is justice to American citizens who have a right to not be subject to it in the first place. This is P.O.C. It's 9:59 a.m. Now, yesterday at this time, I am at the same location where I'm capturing now, the fake sun. It's just that I was already here this morning before 8 o'clock. What is everybody standing under right now? They're standing under evidence. That's what they're standing under. They're engaged in what is Title 18 federal stalking. They're engaged in what is sexual violence. They're engaged in what is the co-conspiracy to commit murder. They're exhibiting severe mental illness in doing so. And they are also doing so on behalf of the government that presents evidence against them. Not only will the sun not still be over the same interest like I captured while I'm standing here before 8 o'clock in the morning, it's still here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's still here at 4 o'clock in the evening. The entities engaging in this with the government that's stalking by planes and helicopters. And they're doing so after I came from a different path, Cardenas, where it sat over me today, this morning. That's the P.O.C. OVITT Family Community Library is engaged in gang stalking, further to murder, and does so with need of the people of the state. P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 10 a.m. And that's me capturing that specific environment, and all the terrorists go inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. That is the Ontario Police Department. That is the Ontario International Airport, while they're engaging with a surveillance around things like bathrooms, around your use of the toilet seat, around your genitalia, where they cover every angle and everything is public information. That's what you need to know about the Nephilim, who are not only criminals and obsessed stalkers and delusional psychopaths who are maniacal, they're perverts. They are perverts. Impossible light upon my entrance. That's terrorism by the OVITT Family Community Library. This P.O.C. It's 10 a.m. It's not only not the sun. That's not sunlight. Good morning, Alexander. How are you? Crossing paths. Hi, Talia. How are you? Crossing paths. P.O.C. All right, just so that you're able to easily connect the dots, this is documentation of vagina monitoring. Maintaining demons in position is what the Ontario police, who are outside stalking me by helicopter under a fake sun, inside stalking me in the bathroom under a fake sun and an engineer light. And that's where you hear, again, vagina monitors Alexander, vagina monitors Talia, the entity that's engaging in surveillance in the bathroom while they are keeping genitalia under surveillance. That's even beyond what is the criminal system of surveillance. That's just nothing other than a sex offender, nothing other. And then maintaining what is presence in the path upon my return. This is what I documented yesterday. That's the entity's pattern. When they are very much engaged in surveilling you in that private space and surveilling you, making sure someone is in the path when you return, okay? That's that pattern of conduct. It is 10:21 a.m. This is the entity that's engaged in that with the vagina monitors that are employed at the venue. They're going to be prosecuted as the sex offenders that they are, doing so while they need sex offenders to come inside and keep them engaged in surveillance together. They're all they're doing is stalking with light, stalking in the path. They're psychopaths who are pacing, and they're doing so while they do that inside of a library, inside of a bathroom in the library. That's how mentally ill and perverted together they are with the demons that are in helicopters stalking in the past. So they're doing it in plain view, in front of everyone, as they have been stalking me every night and every morning, every day in a helicopter. And then you're in the library as though you're delusional. You are delusional. You're going to be prosecuted. It is 10:22 a.m. P.O.C.
Signed in, right?
Yeah.
So you should be good to sign in again.
Okay. Is the screen on? Oh.
It'll turn back on. Just give it just a second, okay?
Okay. Thank you. Did I turn it off or something inadvertently? Or?
An accident, but sometimes these things happen.
Okay. Thank you. Do you mind if I get one more disinfectant wipe, please? I'll come get it. Thank you. boy. Oh boy. It is, by the way, 10:26 a.m. Okay. Yeah. So the demons that are documented engaging in surveillance outside under the circumstances proving surveillance just walk right on into the library to maintain surveillance, keeping me under surveillance inside of the library. And that includes the bathroom. That's where sex offenders maintain surveillance. The Nephilim is synonymous with sexual violence. Okay? This is perversion, sexual perversion by a government, and they're going to be prosecuted for that. And the sexual violence is going to be detailed for the public to know about. That which Mike LORENZ is committing, directly and vicariously, facilitating sexual violence, encouraging sexual violence, engaging in and sharing in sexual violence, while then masquerading as a police department that is supposed to be maintaining law and order and arresting people who commit sexual violence. They are going to be arrested for sexual violence, and it includes Mike LORENZ. This is P.O.C, the sex offenders who are engaged in gang stalking, including in the bathroom inside of this venue. All right, this is an absurdly psychopathic population who are concentrating surveillance inside of a library. P.O.C.
I think I'm able to get a Wi-Fi signal over here, but hold on, let me see. Pay attention to the shadows. Including minor children in the sex offensive surveillance. The light activity. Let's see. This is surveillance outside of a bathroom. Tracking my steps includes tracking steps inside of a bathroom. Walking out, turning on the dryer. The demons are already monitoring while I get up from the computer and I come downstairs. A sex offender is in a bathroom on behalf of the agency, the Ontario Police, who are stalking by helicopter while I'm exposing the fact that they're gang stalking as the fake sun that's not over the Cardenas while it's over me at the Ontario Town Square shows. They're engaging in monitoring with minor children where this light activity is outside while they're pacing around together. My shadow's on the floor, magnified, and my shadow is upright. This is the same activity, light activity, which is impossible, that's at the bus stop where that Ontario Police Department is stalking me by helicopter as well. That's a sex offender that's representing an entity of sex offenders who are keeping me under surveillance in the bathroom, and they're psychopaths that employ children in sexual violence, as does the government. And this is how obsessed with murder and how obsessed with my vagina, both, the demon-possessed are. This is the sexual violence of the Nephilim. These are demons. That was a minor child engaged in, I want to be clear, the OVITT, so-called Family Community Library, engaged in sexual violence. This is a facilitating venue, not a library. It's a facilitating venue. This is surveillance. And they're monitoring, in particular, your genitalia, your use of a private space. And you are not under the Constitution where the government's monitoring you, you have not forfeited at all your reasonable expectation of privacy. Because the government is violating that, you're going to prosecute the government as a sex offender that it is. Those are demons coming in and out of a bathroom that's in engineered light, maintaining amplified noise. Mike Lorenz is the vagina monitoring demon, bringing in third parties that are acting in conformity to a pattern of conduct. You're a light-slinging gargoyle outside. You're engaging the P.O.C. on the inside with the demons that are providing helicopter activity, documentation. You're in here monitoring. And they did it right now with the demons that are coming in and out of the bathroom. You've got a sex offender in position outside, vagina monitoring. You've got them sitting outside in relevant position, vagina monitoring. And a sex offender, a homosexual predator coming in and out to maintain activity. Knows exactly who I am and knows what I'm doing and knows where I'm at. This is P.O.C. This is sexual violence for which the entity is going to be prosecuted for. It's currently, by the way, 1:40 p.m. and the fake sun is over the same entrance where I captured it at 8 o'clock this morning. P.O.C. All right, the vagina monitor, the bathroom predator, Mike Lorenz, he's being prosecuted for the sexual violence that I've been subject to by the Ontario Police Department, by the City of Ontario, by the people of the state, acting in conformity to that pattern of conduct at the OVITT Family Community Library, proven by the maintenance of that environment, including in the bathroom, where the entity is also keeping me under surveillance and engaging in criminal acts of obstruction while they are together targeting me and targeting my vagina. Okay, these are agents that are in the bathroom and around the bathroom, and the entity engaging in what is monitoring my vagina, maintaining ongoing noises of impact, like boom through the wall. That's impossible audible activity. And there's nothing that you're doing. I'm not coming in, I'm not kicking the doors, I'm not kicking the walls, I'm not kicking there's nothing that you're doing with regard to what is under all circumstances activity creation. And if you are going in and kicking the walls, you're creating activity. But this is, again, the behavior of those that are stalking in the path while they maintain what is noise. You see that light activity in the bathroom? You'll see it if you see these videos. That's impossible light activity. And it's the same impossible light activity outside. And it's the same impossible maintenance of a fake sun that has nothing to do and does not explain away that light activity. Because it's not sunlight that's also inside of the venue. 5 hours later, 6 hours later, where they're all walking on concentrated light and walking into the bathroom and doing so stalking. This is a population of sex offenders, and that's exactly how they're going to be viewed, discussed, treated, prosecuted. P.O.C., it's 1:46 p.m. It is currently 5:06 p.m. You'll see the images of what is food. I took a picture of the plate of food that Tracy Banks and gang stalking me came to the OVITT Family Community Library under the fake sun. To volunteer and bring food, again, while she is aware of where I'm present because she's a part of the pattern of conduct. This is outside of what, again,
the entity which she is a part of stating, oh, well, you're always at the library. And you don't know that. Okay, you don't know that but for engaging in targeting me. But the entity is nonetheless, the P.O.C. is underway. She's gang stalking outside of what is the fact that she's in Ontario and I'm regularly at the OVITT Family Community Library. The fake son is here, and that's how she knows that I'm here, because I'm under surveillance at this venue, surveillance that she's engaged in. And I took a picture of the food. I documented before when she came and brought food, and I gave the advice, and that advice rings true. Being subject to what is poisoning, and this is somebody that is engaged in a conspiracy to murder me, is maliciously targeting me with corrupt agencies like the Ontario Police, lying and stating that I'm physically harming her, but yet I'm documenting how you see that she is always pursuing me. She was always coming around me, for me to have harmed you, for me to have beat you up like she stated I did, for me to be such the horrible person that she is claiming when she engaged in kidnapping with the gang leaders of the gang leader Mike LORENZ and the gang members of the Ontario Police Department, who utilize criminal defamation, for which you go to prison. This is somebody that is arriving unexpectedly. I have not communicated with her. I have not given, she doesn't have a phone number that I gave to her, but she is monitoring. The entity is aware of all of your private information, including a phone number that you don't publish and you don't share with the people of the state that are monitoring you, the government that's keeping you under surveillance. So this is somebody that arrives at computer station number 3 with bearing gifts, and this is food that I requested that she try in my presence. She took a bite of it. I took a picture of this food because what I tasted is suspicious, and this is exactly why I do not consume Tracy Banks's food. This is the reason why I am documenting, based on the threat to my life that she poses and the fact that she's been targeting me, as I documented. And I moved away from her in May of 2018 from my apartment where I was paying the rent, and I was paying the rent for both of us, not making her pay part of the rent because she claimed that she was fired from her job and being a loving and supportive daughter and making more than enough money. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with you acting like you love me as your daughter, and you're actually gang stalking me and furtherance of murder. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with you stealing my money and property where I am ignorant of the fact that I have money and property that you've been hoarding, that you've been stealing, that you've been paying other people, giving to other people. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with you having a contract out on my life and taking out policies out on me, anticipating my death and poisoning me. I have a problem with all of the above. Okay, this is somebody that arrived, again, unsolicited presence pursuant to the pattern of conduct, and comes bearing food. And I do want to document, I took a picture of it, and what tastes suspicious is the rice in particular. As somebody that not only cooks food, somebody that I've tasted her rice before. She typically buys the rice that comes in the steam bags where she throws it in the microwave, and those steam bags do not taste like you crushed up Tylenol pills in them, because that's what it tastes like. Okay, it tastes like some sort of pill was crushed inside of them. And so this is relevant to the very purpose where I documented before. I document everything concerning Tracy Banks because she is a maniacal psychopath. This is a demon. Okay, these are demons that happen to be blood related, but as you know, contrary to what this world tells you, that blood is thicker than water, that's what the Nephilim say, and that's how the Nephilim want you to feel. Okay, the Lord God, Christ Jesus, said, "Who is my mother and brother but he who does the will of my Father?" Okay, there's a clear distinction, and my family will not be caught engaging in the pattern of conduct. And no friend of mine will have had anything to do with this. And any fake friend that had anything, I'm prosecuting you, and you're witnessing that. You're witnessing me prosecute as you look at my YouTube channel, as you are looking at the evidence that I'm publishing online. Okay, and you're trying to conceal the fact that you're watching me obsessively on the internet. You're watching me prosecute you. You wanted to watch, and that's what you're watching. You're watching your oncoming demise, that no spell work and no sex ritual is going to slow down or stop. All right, I do want to document the entity bringing in food, using Tracy Banks to do so, and it tastes like crushed up something. Well, the reason why I'm saying crushed up is because it was likely like, I mean, I don't know, but to me, it tastes like a crushed up pill. Like when I take Motrin for cramps, it tastes like some sort of like pill that was crushed up in it, something like that. I've never done like drugs, so I don't know what that would be like, but it tastes like a pill. Something was crushed up in it. That's what I would say.
But nonetheless, this is me documenting because everything is being documented. When the government is stalking me by helicopters, the government is threatening my life. When the entity, this is the government, Tracy Banks is a third party. When the government is bringing me food that tastes suspicious, I'm documenting it in order to protect my life. And so this is relevant to what I've already documented before, being subject to attempted murder, having my food being tampered with, and the entity is engaging in what is failing. You can kidnap someone. It remains a kidnapping when you kidnap that person and put them in a uniform to try to associate, which is liable as it's on surveillance cameras. Kidnapping and libelous conduct such as putting them by force into the ward area, you are nothing other than a kidnapper and somebody engaging in what is defamation through a criminal means of a pattern of conduct, which is also surrounding you while you've engaged in that documented act of terrorism over and over again that will never create or make mental illness. Okay? In the same way, you poisoning my food, putting drugs in my food, that is evidence that will stay in my hair, and that will not make me a drug addict. It will not serve your narrative, and you're going to prison for any poison of such in my body. I am the evidence. Don't forget that. And it's not going to make me a drug addict. I've never been a drug addict, and I'm not becoming a drug addict. And any drugs that are found in my body, any traces of it, it's based on the criminal activity that you are engaging in, and you know who you are. This is documentation of the P.O.C. The rice tastes suspicious. Tastes like something was crushed up in it, so I did not eat that. But this is exactly why Tracy Banks is dealt with in the way that she's dealt with as the threat to my life that she is. This is P.O.C. It's currently 5:13 p.m. at the OVITT Family Community Library.
Stalking with light, sharing and sexual assault and battery. This is 5EZL096, the people of the state at 602A Euclid Avenue. And the demon that's engaging in stalking me with the Ontario Police, they communicate a threat together. The entity of the agency likes to stalk with this particular demon. When they say I document one, that demon will again engage in stalking with that entity using helicopters. He's over here stalking by digging in the dumpster at the venue and engineer light while they're sharing in that gang violence, which is demonic. 9RIZ395, 9EQL735. This particular gang stalker, OVITT Family Community Library, also engaging in what is harassing me by gang stalking me with this demon that targets me with the Ontario Police Department. He's bald with a Nike backpack, white long johns on, gray shorts. He likes to wear eyeliner. The OVITT Family Community Library, I documented him. He's a serial stalker. The entity's tactic includes stalking you with people that have engaged in harassing you before. So, for example, somebody that engages in trying to hit you with their car. The OVITT Family Community Library will have that third party, meaning they're not engaging in what it's, oh, hey, like right in front of me. And it's not even requiring any conversation. This is their pattern, and it's documented. The entity that engages in harassing you, harming you, violating you, is the same entity that likes to utilize to communicate a threat. So the entity engages in this through third parties that have engaged in documenting, stalking me at the bus stop, and a third party is crossing paths. That demon will engage in that conduct as they are monitoring me, stalking me, and my documentation. Then that third party, these are demons, very, very sick, and also it's delusional insofar as you're going to prison for these things. What are you even doing, Satan? They don't know, they're just stalking. But anyway, these are demons that engage in this conduct as I document a stalker. Oh, they were targeting me with the Ontario Police Department. And I go through my documentation and I capture all the times he's stalking here, she's stalking here, she's stalking here again, she's stalking here again. I'm capturing them stalking me here again on this date. This is an entity that's engaging in what is acting as one. However, amongst that entity, you have those that are engaged in systematic, repeated, ongoing, continuous targeting. That's how you're relevant. You're going from what is a prosecution as a terrorist to what is federal prison. That would include federal time while you're engaging in that documented pattern, okay? And but nonetheless, the entity engages in this, and the OVITT Family Community Library likes to engage in harassment via the patrons. A patron that's targeting you outside of the library with the helicopters, threatening your life. And then that demon will come in and sit by you at the computer, will go and gang stalk you, cross path, while the rest of the demons are stalking you with noise. While they're molesting you with impossible light, that demon will cross path with you. These are the tactics that the OVITT Family Community Library, these demons are going to prison for this stuff. They're not doing anything in secret. This is what they like to engage in, and I document it because we're going to review it in court. where you like to engage in surveillance of women's genitalia in the bathroom. You like to do that. The federal judges need to know that about you. And that's not going to be any hearsay. It's also not going to be any matter of debate. Like, oh no, it's a matter. Oh, you like to surveil people's genitalia, and then sit back and watch them experience that, especially while they're documenting. And then you like to engage in more of that. You like to do so with other people that repeat that same violence as you all target. Oh, you like to do that, huh? That's what you get off on. You like that? Okay. These are the demons that are engaging in that in furtherance of murder. Okay, so these are tactics that entity engages in, and that's just an example. This particular third party is engaged in targeting me. OVITT Family Community Library is specifically, intentionally, that's a pattern. And OVITT Family Community Library engages in that pattern, especially while they're hostile. They know that they're being documented because they're monitoring. They know that they're being documented as I'm putting labels, the appropriate labels that fit regarding what they are and what they're doing. They're mentally ill. They're sex offenders. They are predators. And as they're documented accordingly, they engage in that sort of retaliatory behavior. But again, this is the entity that's psychopathic. You're a light slinging gargoyle. What are you actually you don't even understand the significance of what's happening. You're not retaliating, Satan, when it's being documented and you're going to prison for it. They sought to engage in gang stalking. Remember, this is all supposed to be the figment of somebody's imagination. Yeah, that's not happening. All right? You lost that years ago, by the way. So now you're engaging in what is the exact allegations in front of not just the whole world. Okay, you lost a long time ago. So you're being a gargoyle in front of the masses. Stalking at the intersection. CKF 9741. That's an out-of-state plate. That looks like a male with a bald head. Molesting me, engaging in sexual assault and battery. That's shared by Crawfish Bucket. Crab and Crawfish, excuse me, and 602A North Euclid Avenue. These demons, as I've shown on video, while you're across the street, that's not your headlights. These are predators that are engaging in conspicuous stalking, for which you will be subject to deportation. You will be subject to prosecution as a terrorist. You will be going to federal prison. This is what Mike LORENZ is going to be prosecuted for, the pattern of conduct for which that agency is incentivizing terrorism. This is a terrorist in this country. It's his fault that the city of Ontario is sitting around gang stalking somebody that they have lost in the contract with Satan to murder. And they're still engaging in that. While you're stalking with light, you're going to not only be subject to mental assessments, you're going to be treated like an unstable person that eats their own feces, because that's how unstable you are. And you're also going to be subject to a criminal pattern of prosecution. For that criminal pattern of conduct, they're not free to engage in anything that they've been doing freely, and they've been doing it freely on video for you to witness and you to know who the Nephilim are, and for you to witness the prosecution of Satan. Okay, that's what they're doing. This is 537 North Euclid Avenue, RAYBON Premier Mortgage. RAYBON Mortgage Premier, sexual assault and battery. CHEVRON at 506 North Euclid Avenue, German, potentially a gang stalking immigrant, engaged in sexual assault and battery while conspiring by murder with the population. You saw them stalking under a fake sun this morning. That light source, I want to be clear, when you pay attention to the Kentucky plane crash, that was an act of violence by these demons, the Nephilim. That was an act, that was a murder. And you will see the fake sunset in the background while you see that plane crash by UPS, a documented terrorist. Okay? These company names are nothing other than means of identifying the commercial means of targeting, the way in which I've shown you that the demons are doing so. Those demons are as unstable as they are depicting themselves in my documentation. Psychopathic pacing? Well, guess what? Under the fake sun that's remaining in alignment to me inside of the OVITT Family Community Library in Kentucky, where there is an act of violence that you know is intentional in a specific environment that is impossible to coexist with the sunset that these demons are keeping me under inside of OVITT Family Community Library. That's called stalking with light. While they're engaging in what is stalking with light, there's nothing that's happening accidentally. There's nothing that's happening in that environment that is not already a part of what is ongoing surveillance, meaning the entity is engaging in what is an act of terrorism, and it's this entity, it's the Nephilim, okay? An engine coming apart from the aircraft itself, all the ways in which they are logically trying to make sense regarding what is under all circumstances, the Nephilim who are engaged in this P.O.C. There's a fake sunset that you will pay attention to. Look at the video when you're looking at UPS, a documented terrorist, where the entities engage in this system throughout the country, and they engage in terrorism in the United States using airports, the commercial airlines. the government that's engaging in this system, and they commit acts of terrorism, and then they go back and explain them as accidents and try to make sense of that to you, and they do it within the context where they are already explaining it away and not addressing it as the act pursuant to surveillance that it is. License 9TRJ296, sexual assault and battery as an entity. These are the demons. These light slinging gargoyles are the ones that are flying UPS planes that committed mass murder. More than 12 people, and the body count is still under investigation. But I want to be clear, the entity that has a fake sun is an entity that knows where everyone is at and what everyone is doing. That's pursuant to a system of surveillance. UPS is documented. It's exposed in California already as engaging in surveillance, engaging in what is sacrificing, that is murdering someone, conspiring to murder as a corrupt company that's gang stalking me. I have a body of evidence against UPS. Targeting me not only in their commercial planes, not only with the airports in California, but also the demons that are operating those UPS vehicles, exhibiting demon possession, stalking me and molesting me with impossible light activity, keeping my vagina under surveillance, in the bathrooms, where they're engaging in that P.O.C., engaging in documented acts of retaliation while they keep my evidence against them under surveillance, and they are not coincidentally, but pursuant to real-time knowledge, engaging in what is the ongoing pattern of conduct via UPS that knows that they've been documented, been referred to, been identified in one way or another. That's all on the record already. And what you will see regarding Kentucky and that act of mass murder, that act of terrorism, that's not being addressed as such, is exactly what it is. Pursuant to this gang violence, they're engaged in what is an act of murder. That's an act of murder. They're under a fake sunset. That fake sunset in Kentucky, the entity is keeping the fake sun. There's only one sun, and the one sun is not in Kentucky, where you can see it on that video, and also streaming in alignment to my face at the OVITT Family Community Library. You can look at it yourself, look at the video again, and pay attention. The witness to that crash, he's sitting in a truck. I believe he's an African-American male. You can see inside of the truck, he's sitting in engineer light. Okay, so they're under surveillance in Kentucky. Okay, and I surmise there are targeted individuals in Kentucky, people that are being targeted by the Nephilim who are in Kentucky maintaining this same exact system. And they're doing that through the commercial airline planes. They're doing that through the use of helicopters to corrupt law enforcement. And they're engaging in targeting in the way in which I've shown you. And that plane crash is happening under a fake sunset. And this is the use of my evidence, the P.O.C., to prosecute these demons here in California, and for you to know what's going on around you, and for you to understand that these are not accidents. You're not engaged in what is slinging light in a supernatural manner. You're not engaged in stalking me with simultaneity of activity creation, and yet you have all this technology, and you're a monitoring spirit, and you don't know that there's a helicopter in the same sky space as you. That's not an accident. It's not an accident. And the more that these demons target me, the more that they expose their own secrets. Okay? That's called judgment. I want to be clear. The entity's engaging in this, and they're committing sexual assault and battery. And German is gang stalking at 506 North Euclid Avenue. Making money, that's Chevron. So is ARCO, sexual assault and battery. I'm taking a picture of a sex offender pursuing me while I'm going to document somebody else. So this is a sex offender molesting me with light behind me. That's ARCO that's engaged in sexual assault and battery as I'm in between these venues and I'm being molested. It's a sex offense. And they're doing, ARCO and Chevron are doing it with the people of the state who are all stalking, all of them together. This is all state action. Okay? And then as an aside, I want you to remember this tragic act of violence in Kentucky is not an accident. There are no accidents of that nature in the specific environment. This is not just surveillance using devices on the internet. This is surveillance in an inhumane manner. These are monitoring spirits. They know your breathing patterns. They're monitoring your genitalia. They know what you're doing. When you put your hand in your pocket and you move around your index finger and you can't see it, they know what you're doing. Those are the ones that are stalking with light under a fake sun. They're stalking with light at nightfall. Totally disconnected conduct. These are demon-possessed people, and they commit murder. And what Kentucky is doing under the fake sun is even prosecuting these demons that are targeting me at the OVITT Family Community Library. This is the entity that under no circumstances understands what it has exposed itself to in targeting me in the first place, conspiring my murder. That's going to be the prosecution of domestic terrorists like Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams, whose fault it is that I'm subject to sexual violence by a population, by thousands and thousands of people. Sexual violence, the quantity in and of itself, you're going to prison. Okay? It is currently 7:53 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 7:59 p.m. License 9 Larry Yolanda Mary 003. Sexual assault and battery as an entity in concert with Chevron, which is merely noting because this is the state. This is all state action, government conduct, a state system. This is the third party that's stalking at Chevron, engaging in what is relevant to a federal RICO case. Making money is Chevron while you are spending money and gang stalking somebody. That's the entity that's gang stalking together, engaging in sexual assault and battery at Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue with a third party employee of Chevron gang stalking me as well. And that is German. German's license plate is 6 Nancy Yolanda David 346. He's sharing in what is a massive sex offense. The demons are going to Chevron gang stalking me, and he is maintaining systematic engagement in sexual assault and battery while these demons, one after another, are molesting me with impossible light from across the street while I'm at the bus stop. That's also how you know that they're targeting, because this is where the fake sun was rising. The fake sun that is setting in alignment to me inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, which, as you could see through the documentation I provided again today, that fake sun is remaining within 0.3 miles as I walk from the bus stop to that library where that fake sun is setting in alignment to me. This is where these demons are sharing an assault and battery. That is the venue where murder is committed, as you are able to identify it in a state like Kentucky that has a fake sun, where they're engaged in surveillance, and they're also not telling you that. Okay, the entities engaged in this pattern of conduct in German's license plate, again, license 6 Nancy Yolanda David 346. License plate, ARCO is located at 434 North Euclid Avenue. They're engaged in sexual assault and battery as an entity. License 8 Xavier Paul Frank 767, sexual assault and battery. License 8, Edward Indiana Paul 592, sexual assault and battery. That's the ARCO employee. It's the basis of prosecuting ARCO, civilly and criminally. Starbucks, 507 North Euclid Avenue. Starbucks is already fully surrounded with personalized documentation regarding how corrupt businesses are engaging in surveillance, and they're doing so in concert with the people of the state, while Starbucks is in relevant position, so they're sharing in that sexual violence with regard to relevant positioning around me in the zone, okay? This is state action. All of this is state action. This is the prosecution of the government, okay? Just want to be clear, Starbucks at 507, who was also thoroughly documented. So you already know that they're gang stalking, and they are a part of the sex offense that I'm subject to outside of the doors of that Starbucks, which is in alignment to me. License... sorry, 1 second. 40406 Sam 3, license 9 Mary Robert Frank 357, license 6 Kelly Indiana Henry 892. And this is the entity that's engaging in the intentional acts to go to the extent of touching with light in a manner that's impossible. That is the evidence of intent. When I'm documenting, like what you saw this morning, first of all, you're breaking down the crime scene. Science is going to further confirm what is already notable and clearly recognizable, that it's not the natural environment when the sun is over me at this same location at 11 o'clock in the morning. And daylight savings time makes that worse, doesn't make it better. It's equally impossible. Not only that, the fake sun is present while engineer light inexplicably placed on the curb. Well, the demons are driving south on the street in the morning, and the same street where the fake sun is documented setting, as I'm documenting the airport stalking by Southwest Airlines under that fake sunset, where they are driving through what is light that's streaming in the air, creating what is flashing of light conduct while they being the demons who are stalking with light now, doing so under the fake sunrise, which is the crime scene where they are all of that same pattern of conduct. While it's maintained on the roads and the highways, that's the evidence of intent by a whole population that's not coincidentally sharing. And what is that ongoing environment that I'm showing everywhere? The population isn't ignorantly engaged in that, okay? That's when you're getting to what is unreasonable to even suggest that, to try to posit, oh, this is an accident, and they don't know anything about that. And they're all just engaging in what is just coincidental facilitation of how you're monitoring people. That's the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. They are driving. They are the ones controlling their vehicles when they're on the opposite side of the road. In the same way that they're not harnessing a fake sun and throwing it up in the sky, they're also not engaged in what is doing anything other than they are controlling those vehicles, which are also a form of impossible light activity. And they're in full control of that. They're operating those vehicles and those headlights. Those headlights are not designed. They don't build us cars that we operate that are blinding each other. Because we would all be in car crashes because you can't see. You can't even see when you I can't see in my car when I turn on my blinders. It's too bright. And the people can't see. When people do that behind me, I can't see when their blinders are on. The entity is engaged in what is molesting me with light when you are at the opposite corner at that is E Street and I'm over here at F and you're driving onto the street and that's molesting me. But you're going out of your way to touch. That's the evidence of a stalker as well. That's a demon, to be specific. A whole population is repeating that supernatural phenomenon. A whole population is under the phenomenon of a fake sun. A fake sun that's also setting in alignment to me at this same block. This is where you're understanding. I'm giving you context about what's happening in the rest of this country. Kentucky, that was an act of murder. Okay? In Los Angeles, hitting that young man on a skateboard, that was an act of murder. This is surveillance. This is the Nephilim. These are demons. They're not telling you the fact that they're engaged in surveillance. That's pertaining to what is suspicious because of what they know and what they're engaged in and what they're committing together while they're giving explanations, giving what is discretion and also lending what is merit to what are actually irrelevant. The fact that you have your sirens on, LAPD, doesn't have anything to do with the fact that you drove in the middle of the road where you know where a person was riding their skateboard. Yeah, that's pursuant to surveillance. Surveillance by Omnitrans is engaging in license plate 1302442, bus 2356. It's 8:07 p.m. Omnitrans is stopping at the bus stop and doing so while I'm looking at the bus schedule. Yeah. Anyway, Omnitrans is monitoring. I'm not looking at the bus schedule because under any circumstances during the bus schedule, while they have their regularly scheduled bus stops, they're monitoring. I've shown that on the bus. 6VYN466, I believe, molesting, sexual assault and battery. And German is a part of that sex act as well. All right, a German's not getting any exception. He's engaged in the pattern of conduct by place of employment, systematically engaged in the conspiracy to murder. And if this is an immigrant, he's being deported. Okay, German is an example of the pattern of conduct while it's underway, and this is pursuant to surveillance. And they're abnormal, and it's not just abnormal, it's supernatural. You have a pattern amongst the supernatural. Yes, they're intentionally doing that. Okay, the entities engaging in this sexual assault and battery. Sexual assault and battery by an entity is that which is committed in furtherance of murder. It's pursuant to what is psychological torture. You're psychologically torturing the person that you're planning to kill. Okay, and that could be through that could be through a tragic plane crash like in Kentucky. That could be through an ostensibly accidental collision with law enforcement like in Los Angeles. Okay, the entities engaged in this pattern of conduct, and this is a threat to my life while they're engaged in ongoing documented sex offenses, a sex act, gang stalking. And businesses are going to be prosecuted for it civilly and criminally because those businesses have deep pockets that you're going to even punish through that civil prosecution. You're not going to hold on to $1 or profit by gang stalking. And this is what the city of Ontario has been doing for years, by the way. They're profiting off of gang stalking me, and they're not going to hold on to that. No business in Ontario is going to hold on to that. Okay? The entities engaging in that, and they're doing so while they have put a contract on my life, and the evidence of that contract is one that Mike LORENZ cannot dispute. It's the pattern of conduct that agency that he is engaged in with the people of the state, who also don't have any basis to dispute. Because I'm going to let you know what's going to be the counter argument in court about this impossible light activity. It's going to be silence. It's going to be silence. And there is no attorney that's going to be able to provide any defense regarding this pattern of conduct that's directly relevant to the ongoing harassment and terrorism and gang violence that I've been subject to, where it's happening, and how it's shared amongst a multiplicity of cities and counties and states as you look at the evidence between California and Nevada. It's going to be silence in court. But what do psychopaths do? What do the Nephilim do? They commit more and more sexual acts of violence. And that's because they are maniacal psychopaths. And their mental illness is analogous to those that eat their own feces. They're very much insane. This is a sick people, okay? And this sickness is one that is knowledgeable, intentional, malicious. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:10 p.m. Those license plates represent the entity. And they're engaged in what is conspiring my murder together while I'm subject to an ongoing perpetual sex offense. This is P.O.C.
Alrighty, this is impossible light activity, where these demons are engaged in, sexual assault and battery. That's a demon. That's a violent sex offender, and Mike LORENZ is going to be prosecuted. That's supernatural. Those are not headlights. Pay attention to the shadow. Run the tape back. Watch it in slow motion. Not only is it double shadows, it's the magnification of an upright shadow versus that like activity, which is different from what that other demon just did. And they're engaged in a substantially identical behavior. These are demons that are hostile. They're hostile on top of the fact that they are demons, okay? And they're engaged in what is legally relevant, stalking. And this is gang conduct. Ontario police is engaging in the same sex offense while they're stalking up and down Euclid Avenue, okay? The entity's engaging in this while they are hostile, while they are being exposed as the Nephilim. That's a demon. It's not their headlight. You see while they're driving? There's no headlights that are going to cause that light activity. Those headlights aren't shining on that vehicle over here. Those are that's a demon that's targeting me, that knows who I am, and you know that by the fake moon that they're stalking me under. Predators that are conspiring my murder together, and that's the prosecution of the police chief. That's the removal of the fire chief. That's the removal of terrorists stalking in ambulances. In San Bernardino County, it's American Medical Response. That's the removal of the mayor in the city that's conspiring my murder as a part of the same community. They're doing so with regard to every business, German and Chevron, ARCO, the gang stalker working at that venue, Starbucks, heavily documented. They're gang stalking, engaging in what is stalking me with impossible light inside of that venue, where this population engaged in the same thing inside of that Starbucks. It's already on the record. They're engaging in all manner of what is different light activity. That's different from what the other demon is doing, and none of it is headlights. You're looking at the shadow of their vehicles moving across. This is the Nephilim admitting to you that they are here and that they are monitoring you. They commit egregious acts such as murder in commercial planes, such as murder as police departments, okay? This is the Nephilim that are the demon possessed. That's called light activity, and it's not the product of their headlights. You see how they're not blinding each other while they're driving behind each other? But the entities engaging what is blinding me while they're molesting me on the opposite side of the street from Chevron. Those are demons that are targeting. In the same way that you are aware that they're all targeting when they are in the morning under a fake sun stalking equally with light, impossible light, under a fake sun that remains over me while they worship me and stalk me all day long under a fake sun and at night under a fake moon. While they're engaging with a stalking with impossible light that covers the asphalt while they're stalking in the path as a population of demons together that they conspire murder. This is ritualistic conduct right here. It's demonic activity while you see that light. These are the demon possessed. They're referred to as the Nephilim. That's who they are. And this is the making up the body of a federal prosecution. This is P.O.C. Not only is it not sunlight during the day, it's not headlights at night, and it's inconsistent. The entity is engaging what is stalking with light, and it's relevant to what is different light activity at that. It's not even the natural environment, which is also speaking to intent. A population is going to be prosecuted for conspicuously stalking. Conspicuous stalking is an unlawful threat posed by the government. Stalking you in your face, threatening you in your face, engaging what is intimidating or retaliation, harassing you in your face, and doing so on behalf of that government through a population. So you're being perpetually threatened, perpetually stalked, perpetually violated, and they're doing it right in your face. It's stalking you in traffic with impossible light. They're monitoring in plain view, and now they're doing it all over the world. That's all impossible light. A gang stalking police department is prosecuted by that. I want to be clear, gang stalking police officers know where you are in the engineered environment. There are no accidents. There is no acts of negligence. There is no ignorance about who you are and what you're doing in this environment where they are stalking. Stalking is proven through that unnatural environment. That's not their headlight. That's P.O.C. These are the demons that are engaged in the same sex offense because you're going to be prosecuted for touching with this engineered light while it's serving a criminal purpose. They're engaging in monitoring, and these are the mentally ill who stalk with light. They stalk with noise. That's amplification. It's not even the natural sound of what is supposed Union Pacific train. This is what is understanding and studying mental illness that's going to be assessed. And this is the entity that engages in what is kidnapping upon defaming American citizens that they conspire to murder together and kidnap together. The absurdity of these demons, these light-slinging gargoyles to try to defame me, they're going to prison. They're going to be prosecuted as terrorists, and they're being deported. As many of these demons, they're being deported. There are no gargoyles that are going to remain in this country while you're engaging in terrorism. The gargoyles are being deported out of this country, okay? The entities engaging what is targeting from the opposite side of the street. This is stalking, pursuant to what is the pattern of conduct. The benches are moving. These are demons that are engaged in stalking on behalf of Mike Lorenz as well. Mike Lorenz is being prosecuted. That's P.O.C. And they engage in it with impunity. I want to be clear. They crash planes into buildings and grounds with impunity. They police officers that are demon possessed, the same Nephilim, they will run you over in the middle of the street and sound their sirens, and they do so with impunity, expecting to get away with it. That's the impunity that you're witnessing. It's being deported. It's going to prison. It's going to be labeled as a terrorist because you need to know who they are. That's impunity, and that's mental illness. That's what the Nephilim are. That's the threat that they pose. The Nephilim have created families. They are occupying the entire state. They are maintaining places strategically in government. And they are murderers. You're looking at them exhibit that while they're stalking with light. That's the absurdly psychopathic mind. These are demons and they're stalking together. And they engage in more conduct that is relevant to their mental illness. And they're going to be treated like the unstable creatures that they are in court, where they are engaging in what is showing animosity and hostility. Now they're going to regret this in court. It's the same with the stalking me with helicopter activity. It's the same with the stalking me with the commercial planes. It's the same with the ongoing kidnappings and harassment. They're going to regret it in court while they're being light-slinging gargoyles. They're not even sane. They're criminals who are absurdly psychotic. This is P.O.C., the direct link between mental illness and the light activity. This is P.O.C. This is the Nephilim. And they're doing it under the fake moon. It's 9:11 p.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue where the fake sun was rising. This is P.O.C.